Chapter 212. Ahaha. Hearing Zhou Mu's words, Master Wu laughed. Zhou Mu, I'm afraid you don't know the difference between cultivators and mortals. Of course we know. The one who spoke was a man beside Zhou Mu. He raised his head, and City Lord Zhou Yong was stunned. Zhao Xiaodong. Zhou Yong had naturally seen Zhao Xiaodong before. When the corpse tide ended, Zhou Mu even spoke up for Zhao Xiaodong, and Lu Hua to get more rewards. Wang Zhong smiled. They really don't know the difference between cultivators and mortals. But you don't know the difference between cultivators and cultivators either. Looking at Zhao Xiaodong, Master Wu and Master White looked like they were facing a great enemy. Training the army outside the city is your masterpiece? That's right. Good. Give me your life. Master Wu instantly exploded. However, in the next moment, Wang Zhong stretched out his hand, and a burst of energy gushed out. Wang Zhong's hand didn't even touch the other party, and the energy completely suppressed Master Wu. Puff! Master Wu was slammed to the ground, and all the bones in his body were broken. Master White was a little weaker, and his head was separated from his body. From today onwards, Snow City no longer belongs to Hui Dynasty, but to the Celestial Dynasty, Wang Zhong shouted. Zhou Yong was so scared that he knelt on the ground. Long live the Emperor! Wang Zhong nodded in satisfaction. This city lord Zhou Yong was just a mortal, and everything he did was just following the orders of the two masters. Now was the time to use people, and this person was still very useful. Zhou Yong, I'll spare your life, but from today onwards, you're no longer responsible for Hui Dynasty. Tell me all the resources and personnel in the city. I need to know. Also make some preparations later. I want to announce to the world that the current emperor is heartless and has conspired with the state preceptor to deceive the world. They think that those with low spirit roots have a short lifespan. This is a huge scam. The purpose is to kill those with low spirit roots so that the state preceptor, LV Kai, can absorb their energy for cultivation. LV Kai is a heretical cultivator. All of the grandmasters are heretical cultivators. Zhou Yong didn't dare to say anything at this moment. He nodded his head shakily and shouted, Yes, sir. Wang Zhong issued the order, and the people who knew the truth shed tears. Down with the Grandmaster. Defeat Imperial Tutor LV Kai. Down. The people on the street were excited. Wang Zhong knew that as the lie was exposed, the end of Hui Chao had arrived. Almost at the same time, revolts broke out in Iron Sand City and two other cities. Under the leadership of the disciples of the Immortal Mountain, the grandmasters of these cities were captured alive, and all the soldiers surrendered. At first, Wang Zhong thought that there would be some resistance from these people, but he didn't expect the plan to go so smoothly. These soldiers didn't surrender. On the contrary, when they heard that Wang Zhong's people had a way to let those with low spirit roots continue to live, they were all excited. They all began to lead the way for the people of Hui Chao. The battle was like a hot knife through butter. In just half a year, 2/3 of Hui Chao's territory was occupied by Wang Zhong. The other cities that were not occupied were also in a state of panic. Some grandmasters escaped in the night. The city lords surrendered, and the soldiers cheered in unison to welcome the Immortal Mountain. Welcome the Immortal Mountain. A year later, Wang Zhong led the army and surrounded the imperial city of Hui Chao. This time, they had surrounded the city for 7 days. In fact, if they wanted to attack, Wang Zhong could use the cannons, and the people inside wouldn't be able to defend at all. However, Wang Zhong didn't want to do that. Those ordinary people were innocent. If he killed State Preceptor LV Kai and the Emperor, everyone would surrender. Still not surrendering, Wang Zhong led the people of the Immortal Mountain to the entrance of the Imperial City. Reporting to the Mountain Lord, the generals inside are stubborn and have sworn to protect the city walls. Without your orders, we don't dare to attack rashly. Hao Qi, who was in charge of the attack, said, Well then, blast open the door. Wang Zhong casually waved his hand. After waiting for so long, he was not prepared to wait any longer. In addition, he wanted to let the world see how powerful his cannons were. Now, not only was he incomparably powerful in the cultivation world, but even in the secular world, he not only had the most people, but also the most powerful weapons and equipment. Yes. Hao Qi nodded and waved his hand. Cannon fire. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the cannonballs were fired. Bang! The city gate and the city wall were blown open. Hao Qi waved his hand. Kill! Kill! Countless soldiers rushed out. At this time, the people in the city had completely lost their confidence and surrendered. When Wang Zhong brought his people to the palace, he was stunned. In the large palace, there was no one but corpses all over the ground. These corpses had been dried up long ago. No one knew how long they had been dead. How could this be? The people who came in with him were also stunned. When they came to the imperial court, they saw a skeleton sitting on the dragon throne. It seemed to have been dead for decades. They're dead. The people in the palace have actually died a long time ago. Wang Zhong understood. The imperial preceptor had been in chaos for many years, and finally did whatever he wanted. The people in the imperial court were also killed by him in the end. However, because the imperial preceptor's power was monstrous, the emperor here, in fact, had long been a figurehead. Whether he was dead or alive, no one cared at all. That is the imperial preceptor's palace. A sergeant who surrendered in the city pointed to the luxurious palace in front of him and said, "Yes." Wang Zhong walked over with his people. After entering, he found that the palace maids, wives, and children in the palace had all hanged themselves. In front of these corpses, there was only a white-haired old man drinking wine. Although Wang Zhong had never seen the imperial preceptor here, seeing that he was the only one here, Wang Zhong knew that this person was the imperial preceptor who caused chaos in the imperial court, LV Kai. He was also Qi Wentian's senior brother. "Hey, you're finally here." LV Kai wiped the wine from his mouth and turned around with a disappointed smile. "Where's my junior brother Qi Wentian? Since you attacked here, he should be dead, right?" "Yes." Wang Zhong nodded. "Then do you know if he's dead or has become an immortal?" The road to immortality is actually very simple, but unfortunately, you can't become an immortal. Wang Zhong said. "How is that possible? I've lived for so long, and my methods are heaven-defying. Even if Qi Wentian stood in front of me, he wouldn't dare to be arrogant. You're just his disciple, and you dare to say that?" LV Kai shouted. "Because I have this." Wang Zhong summoned the limitless sword, raised it high and shouted, "Do you recognize it?" "Master. Master's sword." LV Kai was stunned. "You've obtained Master's inheritance? The road to immortality is actually to die of old age, and then you can go to the immortal world. But you've harmed living creatures to prolong your life. You will never be able to enter the immortal world." "Ha ha. Wrong, we were wrong." LV Kai didn't doubt Wang Zhong's words, because the moment Wang Zhong took out his sword, he knew that he was no match for him. Would a strong person deceive him? That was obviously impossible. "There's no hope of becoming an immortal. The country is broken. I've let down the world." Pucci. With that, LV Kai cut his own throat. Dong! His whole body fell into a pool of blood. In front of his eyes, the scene of the past seemed to appear. He didn't like to practice martial arts, and wholeheartedly pursued literature. Therefore, he knew everything from astronomy to geography, and was known as a know-it-all in the Immortal Mountain. Because he didn't like to practice martial arts, he didn't stay in the Immortal Mountain for much time. At that time, he had a great ambition, to assist his good friend His Highness the Crown Prince, and make Hui dynasty more prosperous. But things didn't go as he wished. With the death of his master, his cultivation actually didn't advance. Seeing his loved ones die one by one, he was suddenly scared to death. He wanted to become an immortal, so in order to cultivate, he seized those genius spirit roots. In the end, it was he who persuaded the emperor to announce to the world, telling a big lie, and fooling the world. It was all for the sake of their cultivation. Although most people didn't know, there was a force in the dark that resisted them, and that was the light faction. It was just that the light faction's resistance was too weak, and it didn't attract his attention at all. Just like that, the days passed. His good friend the emperor finally didn't want to see the world go on like this, and he raised an objection. LV Kai steeled his heart and killed everyone in the palace, regardless of gender or age. At that time, he didn't know that because he had killed too many people, He was no longer the respected second disciple of the immortal mountain, the know-it-all. LV Kai died, and Hui dynasty collapsed overnight. On this day, the immortal dynasty was officially established. Chapter 213. Although Hui dynasty was easily overthrown, there was still a lot of work to be done. Fortunately, the short-lived people no longer existed. Every family was immersed in joy. Husband, you don't have to die anymore. Yes, I wasn't a short-lived person. I have a very good spiritual root talent. Yes. Let's have a child and send the child to the immortal mountain. Yes. Daughter, you're not a short-lived person. God is protecting us. Yes, mother, I'm going to the immortal mountain. I have a level 2 spiritual root. My talent is considered good. Yes, go. Try to find a good husband there. Scenes of joy played out in every family. 3 months later, an informant in Ming country reported that the sect leader of Ming country's survivors, Li Guangming, had brought his disciples to seek refuge. Hearing this news, Wang Zhong was not surprised. During this period, as his power grew, he learned more and more about the inside story of this world. Ming country was actually founded by a disciple of the immortal mountain. At that time, the immortal mountain was split, Ming country was in trouble, and the people of Hui dynasty were in dire straits. That disciple couldn't stand it anymore, so he founded Ming country. His intention was simple, and that was to hope for the world to see light again. Unfortunately, until the moment of his death, he didn't see light. But at least, he left behind a spark in this world. The people of Ming country had been secretly cultivating their strength to deal with these masters. These years, because too many people had died in Ming country, the Ming country's people were all there. Let Li Guangming come over. Wang Zhong ordered. Soon an old man with a white beard came over. Li Guangming greets your majesty. You may dispense with the formalities. Wang Zhong nodded. How's the matter in Ming country? Li Guangming immediately began to speak. Only then did Wang Zhong know that Xiongba was dying. Previously, Xiongba and Qi Wentian fought, and both of them were injured. But the problem was that Xiongba didn't have much lifespan left. So after returning, even if he collected countless spiritual roots, it was useless to Xiongba. These years, Xiongba had been struggling at death's door. It's about time to deal with the evil cultivators in Ming country. A month later, Wang Zhong led the disciples of the Immortal Mountain and the Radiant sect to attack Minghua. In just 3 months, all the evil cultivators in the villages of the famous country were killed. As for the remaining evil cultivators, they were being strictly searched. As for Wang Zhong, he came to the capital of a famous country. It could be seen that this place used to be very prosperous in the past. But now, the streets were deserted, the houses were dilapidated, and corpses were everywhere. These corpses had already turned into white bones, and no one collected them. This was because the closer one got to the capital, the more people died. These people were all brought to the capital and sacrificed to Xiongba. Xiongba is really ruthless. Wang Zhong shook his head and charged in alone. Xiongba! Wang Zhong shouted. No one responded. After which, Wang Zhong was guided by a palace made to Xiongba's residence. His Majesty hasn't come out for more than half a month. The palace maid trembled. Yes. Wang Zhong nodded and walked in. There was no sign of life in the room. The floor was filled with dirty water and blood, and the stench of corpses. Looking at the bed again, Wang Zhong sighed softly. Livor mortis had already appeared on Xiongba's body. He was long dead. Sigh, Xiongba is dead. Give the order, blow up the capital of the famous country. Yes. There was no need to keep this place. Just let all of this go with the wind. Although he didn't want the place, the historical documents and all sorts of antiques were moved back under Wang Zhong's orders. After which, Wang Zhong learned about the history of the famous country and the celestial mountain, Ghost Sword Mountain, from the surviving evil cultivators. The evil beings in Ghost Sword Mountain were all famous generals of the famous country. The army of Heaven Destroyer General. Heaven Destroyer General was also one of Gao Dongtian's disciples. Back then, Heaven Destroyer General assisted Xiongba and cultivated together on the Celestial Mountain. After Gao Dongtian died, Xiongba and Heaven Destroyer General returned to the country. However, as his cultivation didn't improve, Xiongba became more and more irritable. Finally, he started to eat human spiritual roots and walk the path of evil cultivators. After Heaven Destroyer General found out, the two of them turned against each other. However, Heaven Destroyer General knew that he was no match for Xiongba, so he brought his men to Qi Wentian. Unfortunately, he didn't know that Qi Wentian had changed too. Hence one night, Qi Wentian tricked these people to Ghost Sword Mountain and fed them energy-dispersing pills. However, maybe because they had killed too many people, the Wuji sword that protected the Celestial Mountain appeared and protected the souls of Heaven Destroyer General and the others. Hence, Ghost Sword Mountain was formed. Qi Wentian saw that Ghost Sword Mountain wasn't dangerous and could even allow his disciples to train. Hence, he didn't care much about it. However, he couldn't subdue the Wuji sword. After Hui Dynasty and Famous Country collapsed, Wang Zhong officially merged the three countries and named them the Celestial Dynasty. If he expanded further, Famous Country was Donglin Dahai, and Hui Dynasty was surrounded by huge mountains. There was no need to expand further. Furthermore, Wang Zhong wasn't the kind of person who liked to expand his territory. After that, Wang Zhong started to work hard and prepared to launch a vigorous campaign to eliminate illiteracy. Under Wang Zhong's guidance, he came up with 5 policies for the sake of better managing this massive country. First, all children under the age of 10 should start learning how to read and add and subtract within 1,000 words. Second, try to wipe out places where evil creatures gathered within 30 years to ensure the safety of the people's lives and property. Third, protect the private ownership of land so that the farmers could farm in peace and ensure the production of food. Of course, some landlords and even some high-ranking officials didn't agree. However, in front of Wang Zhong's powerful tactics and administrative power, these people were like mantises trying to stop a chariot. In just 5 years, most of the landlords were dealt with. Every family was given an acre of land according to their population. Of course, sometimes there wasn't enough land. However, it didn't matter. As the evil creatures around the city were dealt with, the people's territory started to expand. Surrounding the huge city, villages and towns were gradually built. Fourth, ensure that the food production wasn't affected by natural disasters. This was more difficult. Fortunately, Wang Zhong had hundreds of years of farming experience. Under his guidance, the disciples learned how to farm one by one. Then they were sent out to teach them. In this way, the learning method was passed from 1 to 10, 10 to 100, and some of his farming skills were known by people. The production was much higher than before. Fifth, promote water projects. In the past, the imperial court deliberately allowed evil creatures to live in the wild to control the people. Therefore, the wild could be said to be very chaotic. Many cities would be affected by natural disasters. Therefore, Wang Zhong decided to promote water projects. First, he dug ditches in the rural towns to ensure that the water didn't flood the fields. Then, he taught everyone how to raise fish and shrimp in the ditches. By the way, Wang Zhong was surprised that there were lobsters in this world. However, people didn't know how to eat lobsters. Many people were even afraid of things in the water other than fish. Therefore, Wang Zhong became the first person to eat lobsters. When everyone knew how to eat lobsters, there were many people who took lobsters as a profession. This solved a lot of the employment problem. Wang Zhong was very satisfied with this. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 50 years old. Under the guidance of his 5 policies, the people of the country were no longer afraid of evil creatures. No one had to go hungry. Although they were a little poor, their lives were good. The golden age of the Celestial Dynasty had officially arrived. Chapter 214. This year, Wang Zhong was already 52 years old. According to the age of an ordinary person, he was already an old man. However, he was now a cultivator, so from his appearance he looked about 30 years old. This also surprised Wang Zhong. However, although he was a cultivator, his parents were not. Zhao Dahai was very old. Although Wang Zhong gave him some elixirs, he was still an ordinary person. It was already good that Zhao Dahai was still alive, and could move at such an old age. Therefore, Wang Zhong couldn't do anything about it. In the past, Wang Zhong said that it was too tiring to run an inn, and asked him to stop running it, and return to the palace to enjoy life. However, Zhao Dahai was unwilling. He said that he had a hard life, and returning to the palace would cause him to die faster. Therefore, he continued to run the inn, but ordinary people didn't know his true identity. On this day, Zhao Dahai finally collapsed. In front of the hospital bed, Zhao Dahai shouted, "Xiao Dong, I'm afraid I can't make it. There's something that I've been hiding from you for a long time." "What is it?" "Actually, before you, I had a daughter named Zhao Rong. You have an aunt from the Huang clan." "Boo-hoo, Master." Wei Yin cried sadly. Wang Zhong sighed. "I know all this. You know? Well, you forgot that I can deal with ghosts, so I saw my sister, Zhao Rong, and my aunt, the Huang clan, very early on." What Wang Zhong didn't say was that they were actually next to him. All these years, Zhao Rong and the Huang clan had been in the inn. "I've let them down. They didn't enjoy much before they left. I really want to see them." Zhao Dahai murmured weakly. "Xiao Dong, I'm dead. Help us bury together. A family neat and tidy." "Okay. Yen." Zhao Dahai then looked at Wei Yan, and held her hand tightly. "You too. Let's not open this in anymore." Slowly Zhao Dahai froze. Because in front of him, he seemed to see his eldest daughter, Zhao Rong, and his deceased wife, Huang clan. Was it them? Zhao Dahai suddenly smiled. "I'm here." As he spoke, he slowly lowered his hand. Zhao Dahai left, but Wang Zhong didn't make it public. He handled the funeral in a low-key manner. According to Zhao Dahai's wishes, Wang Zhong buried Zhao Dahai in the small house. Zhao Dahai didn't turn into a ghost, because Wang Zhong discovered that as the evil beings around him were dealt with, the yin energy in the air gradually disappeared. The sky that had been gloomy before was now filled with sunlight. Wang Zhong guessed that it was probably because of the rise of the human path and the destruction of the evil path. There was still some cause and effect in this. However, Wang Zhong was also very happy. Zhao Dahai had entered the cycle of reincarnation after all. Sigh, Dahai is gone, but it's enough for me to see him live a peaceful life for so many years. Huang clan hugged Zhao Rong and looked at their tombstone. "Let me expiate your souls," Wang Zhong said. As a cultivator, expiating souls wasn't difficult. It was just that all these years, Huang clan and Zhao Rong were unwilling to leave. They were used to staying in this small inn. As a family, of course, they had to be neat. It was just that Zhao Dahai had left, so there was no need for them to stay. "Yes, thank you, Xiaodong." Huang clan nodded. Wang Zhong stretched out his hand and chanted, "Heaven and earth are boundless. Borrow the power of the universe. Let the souls turn and expiate them." With a flash of light, Huang clan and Zhao Rong's souls became fainter and fainter. "My good brother, goodbye." Zhao Rong waved her hand. "Goodbye." Wang Zhong smiled. The two of them finally disappeared. This matter was over. However, Wang Zhong didn't close the auspicious inn. Instead, he left it to the servants to take care of. When he came out, Sun Dainyu and Xiang, who were carrying their grandson, came back from grocery shopping. Sun Dainyu had been pursuing Lin Wu when he was young. Later, Xiang chased after him, and the two of them got together. Now, they had many children and grandchildren, and were living happily together. "Hey, isn't this Zhao Xiaodong?" Although Sun Dainyu was old, his body was very healthy, and his eyesight was very good. He saw Wang Zhong from afar. "It seems like he really is," Xiang said. Wang Zhong smiled at them. "Sun Dainyu, Xiang, you're still so young." "As expected of a cultivator," Sun Dainyu said. Xiang said, "Lin Wu, how is she?" She and Lin Wu were like sisters when they were young, but they hadn't seen each other for a long time. "She's very good. How are you guys?" Wang Zhong said. "Yes, we're all very good. This is my grandson," Sun Dainyu said. "Very good. Has your spiritual root been tested?" "Yes, it's only level 6. Sun Dainyu sighed. Under Wang Zhong's management, only those with level 3 spiritual roots had the hope of entering the immortal mountain to cultivate. Therefore, people with level 6 spiritual roots were destined to be ordinary people. Although it was very cruel, the natural conditions now were too poor. Wang Zhong couldn't let everyone cultivate. letting everyone read, and write was already the limit of this era. Live a good life, Wang Zhong said. Yes, Xiaodong. When you go back, help me say hello to Xiaowu. I miss her very much, Ah Xiang said. I'll ask her to come back and see you when she's free. Okay. Ah Xiang smiled happily. I'm leaving. Wang Zhong left. Except for Sun Dainyu and Ah Xiang. Everyone forgot everything that happened near the auspicious inn. As time passed, no one knew the history of this place. After that, Lin Wu's parents, the Lin prefecture couple, also passed away one after another. However, they passed away very peacefully. In the last few years, Lin Wu accompanied them back to their hometown and often accompanied them. After they left, the Lin family's cloth workshop also closed down. Naturally, Lin Wu was sad. However, they were all adults and knew that there was a cycle of reincarnation. Therefore, even though she was sad, she still gave her parents a proper burial. Let's go back. Looking at the tombstones of his parents-in-law, Wang Zhong sighed and left with Lin Wu. At the same time, he also brought along Lin Wu's 2 children. These were their children. In a few years, Wei Yin was also old. It seems that I won't live for long. After a serious illness, Wei Yin drank a bowl of medicine and sighed. Mother, you'll be fine. Ziru sat aside obediently. Lin Wu and Lu Hua also stood aside and waited on her. I know in my heart. I've lived for so many years. It's enough. Son. Wang Zhong said, Mother. I'm leaving. Bury me beside Dahai. Okay. The next year, Wei Yin really passed away. In the same year, Ziru's house accidentally caught fire. Zinanshan and Lu Yin were burned to death. After that, Wang Zhong investigated and found that it was really an accident. When the 2 of them were sleeping, the candles were not extinguished. Later, the candles were blown over by the wind and set the house on fire. It was a pity. Sob. Father, Mother, you died so tragically. Ziru looked at the 2 charred corpses and burst into tears. Hut Lu Hua, take Ziru down. Wang Zhong endured the pain and said. Okay. The 3 of them went down. Wang Zhong ordered people to clean up the place. After this lesson, Wang Zhong carried out a large-scale safety inspection all over the country. He put forward 5 outlines for construction. First, in life, prevention is better than cure and eliminate hidden safety hazards. Second, safety measures must be taken at work. Third, in the future, the distance between houses should be longer. Because everyone's houses were made of wood, once a fire broke out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Fourth, workers should be trained to be aware of safety when they go to work. Improper construction should be prohibited. Fifth, safety should be the first priority. Whether it was building houses, forging iron, or any other work, construction should be carried out strictly according to the 5 outlines. After implementing the 5 outlines, there were indeed fewer accidents. Chapter 215. As his parents passed away one by one, Wang Zhong was already 110 years old in the blink of an eye. Ordinary people definitely wouldn't be able to live to this age, but he was a cultivator, so he still looked very young, about 40 years old. As for Lu Hua and Lin Wu, because their cultivation bases were low, they were already senile and looked to be in their 50s. Although they had been working hard to maintain and cultivate, time was unforgiving. Compared to Wang Zhong's youthful appearance, they looked too old. Lu Hua, Lin Wu, why haven't you come to see me recently? Wang Zhong was puzzled. These days, he saw Lu Hua and Lin Wu less and less. This was too strange, wasn't it? Ziru was a little embarrassed. She lowered her head and said, They. Why are you stuttering? Wang Zhong said in displeasure. Ask them yourself. Sigh, really. In the imperial palace, Wang Zhong found Lu Hua and Lin Wu in the bedroom alone. The 2 of them were sitting at the table, eating melon seeds and drinking sweet tea. Sigh, I have another wrinkle on my face. Lu Hua touched her face with a helpless expression. Isn't that so? My breasts seem to be sagging. Lin Wu was also helpless. Speaking of which, Lin Wu was weaker, so she looked even older than Lu Hua. At this moment, Wang Zhong also understood why they didn't want to see him. When one was old, sometimes they would despise themselves, let alone others. They were worried that he would despise them. Therefore, they would rather avoid him, so that he would have a better memory. Have you gone to see your husband recently? Lu Hua asked. Lin Wu shook her head. I'm so ugly now. How can I face people? Sigh. Me too. I've already become an old woman, Lu Hua said. Father, why are you standing here? Wang Zhong was eavesdropping when a crisp voice sounded from behind. Wang Zhong took a look. Wasn't that his youngest daughter Nua Nua? She was Ziru's youngest daughter, and often ran around here. Lin Wu and Lu Hua ran over. When they saw Wang Zhong, the three of them felt awkward. No, go play somewhere else, Wang Zhong said. No was led away by the palace maid. Wang Zhong said, Are the two of you so unconfident? Husband, you heard it all? Lin Wu said embarrassedly. What do you think? Wang Zhong shook his head helplessly. Do you think I'm so shallow? I'm sorry, Lu Hua said. All right, don't do this in the future. Despite Wang Zhong's words, as time passed, the two of them grew less confident in their appearances. Wang Zhong also understood in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. Fortunately, other than these things, everything else was progressing well. Schools were built all over the country. After decades of literacy campaigns, everyone was able to read and write. Because there were more and more literate people, many people were born who developed basic science. At the same time, grain production was bumper every year. Now starvation did not happen at all. But so far the poverty rate was still quite high. In addition, after so many years of peace, some bullies appeared in many places. These bullies bullied people and dominated the market. They relied on their fierceness and did all kinds of evil. What was especially shocking was that a big bully was actually by his side. That big bully was his and Lin Wu's eldest son, Zhao Wangzhong. When he was young, Wang Zhong thought highly of him. He did not expect this kid to become more and more outrageous. Relying on his strength and high status, he monopolized the cloth trade. Now his cloth business was very big. But this way the price of cloth on the market soared. He earned money, but it caused the people to seethe with resentment. The people had no way to make a living, especially some of his competitors in the cloth business. They were secretly suppressed by him, causing their families to be ruined. Others thought that Wang Zhong did not know. But Wang Zhong had secretly set up a prosecutor's office to secretly investigate some of the chronic problems in the cities. Because he knew very early on that there was no perfect system in the world. Everything had to be investigated to know the truth. In order to do these things well, after getting the evidence, Wang Zhong began a vigorous campaign to eliminate evil. The first person he killed was his eldest son Zhao Wangzhong, killing the chicken to scare the monkey. Father, I'm innocent. That morning, after the servants announced Zhao Wangzhong's crimes, Zhao Wangzhong was afraid and desperately begged for mercy. Son, even now, you still want to lie to your father? Wang Zhong shook his head in disappointment. He did not expect that Zhao Wangzhong would still want to lie to him at this time. It was simply not putting him in his eyes. In this life, his son did not teach him well. Men. Here. 2 large blade guards walked in. Take Zhao Wangzhong out and behead him. Wang Zhong waved his hand. Yes, sir. The large blade guards glanced at Zhao Wangzhong. No, don't. Zhao Wangzhong was really afraid. Mother, I want to see mother. But it was too late. Zhao Wangzhong was finally dragged out. At this moment, all the officials in the court were afraid. It was also at this moment that they understood that the monarch was serious. Next, Wang Zhong proposed 4 action plans. They were, fight the tyrants, eliminate the evil, eliminate the forces, and eliminate the gangsters. These are the 4 action plans for today. I hope that all of you can set an example. If anyone wants to be a protective umbrella, ha, there will be no mercy. Understand? Yes, sir. Everyone nodded. Also, I'll propose 3 more workplace restrictions. Gambling dens, loans, and human trafficking are not allowed. Originally, Wang Zhong was thinking about abolishing the orphanage, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. This business was legalized in many modern developed countries. There was no need for him to ban it. However, he also issued an order that every workplace must have their own doctor to check on the girls regularly to prevent them from falling sick and spreading the disease. Once the new policy was announced, all the officials agreed. All right, the court is dismissed. Once Wang Zhong was dismissed from court, he walked towards his bedroom. He had just beheaded his eldest son. Lin Wu must have heard about it by now. He wondered how sad she would be. However, he had no choice. As a wise monarch, sometimes things could not be done as he wished. Boo-hoo, my son is dead. Before he entered the room, he heard Lin Wu crying loudly. Ziru and Lu Hua comforted Lin Wu, but Lin Wu was still crying. At this moment, Ziru saw Wang Zhong enter and complained. Why are you still here? Zhao Xiaodong, how can you do this? Lu Hua said. I'm not wrong about this. Wang Zhong shook his head helplessly. Wang Zhong has made many mistakes. If a prince breaks the law, he will be punished the same as a commoner. I have to let the world know. Boo-hoo. Lin Wu entered the room and closed the door. She did not want to see anyone. Wang Zhong sighed and left. Although things were not going well at home, there was good news coming in from outside. Almost everywhere, many tigers were dug up from the ground. Some of the grievances were dug up, which won a lot of praise from the people. Unknowingly, a few painters had started to draw Wang Zhong's portrait and placed it on the wall to form an arch. Everyone said that he was the best ruler since ancient times, and they hoped that he would live a long life. 5 years later, the anti-tyrant campaign finally came to an end. Lin Wu had been bedridden ever since. She had been feeling unwell. She spoke less to Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong could only let his and Lin Wu's other son and daughter visit her often. Chapter 216. Lin Wu, I brought your favorite osmanthus cake. Early in the morning, Wang Zhong brought desserts. Just like before, Lin Wu just nodded silently. Are you still not feeling well? Wang Zhong asked. My chest feels stuffy. Lin Wu sighed. She just glanced at the osmanthus cake and said, in the past, this was the best cake my mother made. These no longer have her taste. Lin Wu, are you still angry with me? Wang Zhong sat on the side and looked over. Lin Wu now looked to be in her 60s. Not only was her face full of wrinkles, but her hair was also white. I'm not angry anymore. I'm old, and I've already seen through many things. You're a person who's going to be a wise ruler. Whether it's from emotion or reason, what did wrong is wrong. It's good that you understand. Xiaodong, tell me, will you still remember me after I die? I'll find a way to treat you. Wang Zhong comforted her. Lin Wu smiled with relief. You're still the same as before. You like to comfort me. Speaking of which, I can learn so many things because of you. Lin Wu found a comfortable position and touched the wrinkles on her face. I must be very ugly now. Don't say that. Okay, I'm going to rest first. Lin Wu went to sleep. Wang Zhong actually didn't tell Lin Wu that she was indeed sick. Although everyone was a cultivator and should get sick, they would still get sick. Wang Zhong touched Lin Wu's forehead and looked at Lin Wu with a smile. However, Lin Wu's smile gradually stiffened. She left. Perhaps for Lin Wu, she knew in her heart that she didn't have long to live, so she chose to leave quietly by Zhao Xiaodong's side. The next day, Lin Wu's son and daughter, including Ziru and Lu Hua, came back. The whole family was grieving, but it was a happy funeral. After burying Lin Wu, Lu Hua, who had a good relationship with Lin Wu, was in a bad mood. Fortunately, Ziru was sensible. Now only Ziru and Wang Zhong's appearances were similar. This was because both of their cultivations were very strong. Ziru called Lu Hua elder sister, and often helped Wang Zhong accompany her. Another few years passed. In this year, after Wang Zhong heard the reports from his subordinates, he knew that the Celestial Dynasty was now strong and prosperous. The coastal fleet gradually found other countries overseas, but these countries were still in the era of barbarism. In response, Wang Zhong encouraged the merchants to go out to sea. At the same time, he also noticed that there were still many poor people in the country, so he proposed an important goal. Poverty will be eradicated, and the people of the whole nation will live a well-off life. This goal was very difficult, especially when the productivity and technology of ancient times were not as good. It was too difficult to just rely on agriculture. But fortunately, they discovered the overseas continent. Many poor people made a fortune overseas and returned home in glory. After the morning court session, Wang Zhong had just returned to his bedroom when he heard cries coming from inside. Elder sister Lu Hua, elder sister Lu Hua, Ziru cried. The palace maids also cried. Concubine Lu is not moving. Wang Zhong hurried into the room and heard Ziru crying. Elder sister Lu Hua, she's gone. She's gone? Looking at the 90-year-old old woman on the bed, Wang Zhong staggered over. This morning, I went into the room to give elder sister Lu Hua some water. When I saw her, she looked for me. I walked over, but she only said, "What did she say?" Wang Zhong asked as he looked at the sobbing Ziru. She said to tell you that she's gone. She's waiting for you in the celestial world, Ziru cried. Wang Zhong sat on the chair. Lu Hua was old and did not have long to live. It was just that he had been busy with court affairs recently, so he did not have time to accompany her. He had wanted to take her to the celestial mountain for a stroll. Who knew that things would turn out like this? Lu Hua, have a safe journey. Wang Zhong sighed. He could not help but see the day of the zombie horde. Lu Hua was valiant and calm in the face of the zombie horde. He also saw Lu Hua with him, blushing and saying that she wanted to marry him. The past dissipated like smoke, but Lu Hua seemed to be standing in front of him. Actually, Wang Zhong knew that he had let Lu Hua down. Of the three women, he had spent the least time with Lu Hua. Lu Hua had said those words to Ziru not because she was waiting for him in the celestial world, but because she did not want him to feel uncomfortable. Lu Hua was actually quite understanding. Wang Zhong buried Lu Hua beside Lin Wu's tombstone. Looking at the tombstone, Ziru cried and said, "I'll be buried here in the future." "Sai, let's go back," Wang Zhong said. "We're dead, but we still have to live. Sometimes living was very sad. Let's go back to the palace." Days passed. The overseas territories were discovered one after another. At the same time, the country also launched a vigorous scientific study. Many schools built laboratories, and all kinds of research were done. In order to support these research, Wang Zhong would take out most of the funds every year. Anyway, there were no hostile countries around, so the pressure on national defense was very light. Because of the large amount of investment, the development of science progressed very quickly. This was mainly because of Wang Zhong's guidance. For example, copper, iron and lye. He knew how to make these basic materials. Later on, he studied glass, cement and concrete. Why did he have so much time and energy? It was very simple. Because in this life, his lifespan had greatly increased. Not only him, but everyone else was the same. Moreover, the disciples on the celestial mountain not only cultivated, but everyone also had to study. Wang Zhong strongly supported those who were interested in science. As a result, the development of science was very fast. This was an era of the rise of science, Wang Zhong thought to himself. However, at the same time, he also discovered that his strength was starting to decline. Wang Zhong understood that his lifespan was about to end. Am I starting to age too? Wang Zhong sighed. He was already more than 170 years old. To be able to live for so long was already because his cultivation was strong. Otherwise, how could he live for so long? As for Ziru, although they were about the same age, she looked very old. She looked like she was in her 60s. This was because Ziru's cultivation was weak. So once her lifespan was about to end, she would age first. It was the new year again. Wang Zhong brought Ziru back to the celestial mountain. As soon as they arrived, Hao Qi, Guli, and the others welcomed them. Guli, seeing his old friend, Wang Zhong laughed. Guli was hunched now. He smiled and said, "Master, you're back." Beside him was Hua Ying. Hua Ying was slightly stronger, but he also looked like he had one foot in the grave. "Let's go, let's drink some wine together," Wang Zhong said. "Sai, we're not as young as you now. We're all old," Hao Qi complained. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Suddenly at this moment, a shout came from behind. "Master, you're finally here again. I've learned a new set of moves. This time, I must defeat you." Chapter 217. Without even looking, Wang Zhong knew that this person was Tang Qi. Although he was a white-haired old man, he would challenge him every few years just like when he was young. Of course, while it was said to be a duel, it was actually a sparring session. This was his inner demon. According to Tang Qi's wife, a senior sister of Celestial Mountain, Tang Qi would shout in his dreams, Zhao Xiaodong, I will defeat you, I will. Actually, Wang Zhong was helpless. Why did he meet such a martial arts maniac? Okay, but let's fight after drinking, Wang Zhong said. Let's see who's better at the table. Okay. Tang Qi nodded. His good friends from Celestial Mountain gathered together and chatted happily. Tang Qi had drunk too much today, so he didn't succeed in the end. In the end, he shouted in a drunken stupor, Little Dong, Guli Huaying. Do you think we can really go to the immortal realm if we die? In this world, almost everyone knew that as long as one died of old age, one could go to heaven. But only Wang Zhong, Tang Qi, and the others had doubts. Could it really? Although Gao Dongtian said that one could enter the celestial world after death, was that really the case? Could it be that Gao Dongtian didn't want to see them fight and kill, so he said that on purpose? So everyone was confused. Wang Zhong sighed. It must be true. Moreover, as long as we don't have any regrets in this life, who cares about the celestial world? Maybe the celestial world isn't as good as here. That seems to be the case. Where there are people, there will be fights. Let's drink today. Guli smiled and touched an empty bowl to the side, shouting, Yaya, you should drink some too. Since Duan Yaya died, Guli would always leave an empty bowl beside him when he ate. He said that Duan Yaya was there too. He even treated Duan Yaya as his first wife, and Huaying as the concubine. Huaying was really magnanimous and didn't care about such things. Instead, he would prepare a bowl and chopsticks for Yaya every day. Guli, you drank too much, Huaying said. Guli said, not much. I'm old. If I don't drink it now, I won't have another chance in the future. As they spoke, the atmosphere gradually became sad. Everyone was old. Indeed, they were old. Every time they gathered together, there would be fewer and fewer opportunities. After staying at the Immortal Mountain for a few days, Wang Zhong had just woken up when he heard a disciple shouting outside, Elder Guli, let's go. Guli passed away peacefully. After drinking too much, he walked in front of Duan Yaya's tombstone in the middle of the night. Until the moment of his death, the person Guli loved the most was still Duan Yaya. Huaying cried as she collected Guli's body and conducted the funeral. However, she didn't say a single word of bitterness, even though she knew in her heart that Guli only treated her as a substitute for Duan Yaya. Guli had never even loved her. However, the relationship between people was just that complicated. No one could say who was right or wrong. Wang Zhong understood this, but he could only pretend that he didn't know anything. 3 years later, Wang Zhong suddenly heard that Elder Tang VII had suffered a qigong deviation during his cultivation and had died on the spot. Tang Qi was dead. He didn't even have any last words. Wang Zhong lamented in his heart. People of their generation had actually stopped cultivating long ago. This was because cultivation wasn't always beneficial. If they continued to cultivate at a certain age, it would instead hurt their foundation. If they were unlucky, they might suffer a backlash and suffer a qigong deviation. Tang Qi had encountered such a problem. However, no one could persuade him otherwise. Tang Qi's ultimate obsession was still to defeat Zhao Xiaodong. Unfortunately, he didn't know that it was too difficult to defeat Zhao Xiaodong, who had the Wuji sword. After Tang Qi left, Wang Zhong suddenly realized that his friends had all left one by one. Huaying, Hao Qi, and his former senior brothers and sisters were all gone. Now, only he and Ziru were left. Your Majesty, a place of cultivators has been discovered in the Eastern Sea region. It calls itself the Demonic Land, and is ruled by a person called the Demon King. He enslaves his subordinates to cultivate. This day, a subordinate came to report. Are there still evil cultivators now? Wang Zhong asked. Can't the vanguard troops handle them? There were disciples of the Immortal Mountain in every troop, so they weren't afraid of some evil cultivators. They've all been killed. That evil cultivator is very strong. 2 elders of the Immortal Mountain were killed. What? Wang Zhong was furious. How many years had it been? How could something like this happen? Pass down the order. I'll personally lead the troops. Yes. In the same year, Wang Zhong and Ziru took a ship and headed to the Eastern Sea region. The soil in this area was black, and there were countless cultivators. The people here abided by the law of the jungle. Because of this law, and the spiritual chi here was comparable to that of the immortal mountain, there were countless experts and many martial arts sections. However, there weren't any big ships here, so these people moved around the area. As Wang Zhong arrived, the strongest demon king here, Wu Liangzi, found Wang Zhong. "You're the monarch of the immortal dynasty, Zhao Xiaodong?" Wu Liangzi wore a black robe and was shrouded in a black fog. The black fog was filled with human heads and countless Yin spirits. This was the effect of refining countless Yin spirits. "That's right." Wang Zhong nodded silently. "Ha ha ha, I'll kill you today. When the time comes, I'll bring my men and kill my way to your immortal dynasty. Ha ha ha. I'll turn that place into a hell on earth for my cultivation. Is that so? Then I'll have to kill you to protect my people." Wang Zhong said indifferently. "Die." As soon as he finished speaking, the Demon King attacked. Wang Zhong smiled. He was weak. He was even weaker than Qi Wentian back then. Suppress. Wang Zhong didn't even take out the limitless sword. A huge palm formed by his energy descended from the sky. "What move is this?" Wu Liangzi's expression changed drastically. "Emperor's seal. It's a cultivation technique I created myself." Wang Zhong shouted. Bang! Wu Liangzi's entire body was scattered into ashes. What, the Demon King was killed in one move? How is this possible? The monarch of the immortal dynasty, Zhao Xiaodong, is too strong. We're not his match at all. On this day the world was shocked. On this day, the immortal dynasty officially attacked the demon sect and eradicated the demon sect. 3 months later, the place with the densest immortal energy of the demon sect became the stronghold of the immortal mountain sea. At the same time, the immortal dynasty also began to establish their territory here. Whoever was not convinced would be killed. Whoever had an opinion, come, I'll reason with you with physics. Whoever defected to the immortal dynasty would be checked. After confirming that they weren't evil cultivators, they would be thrown into the vanguard. Each person had to kill 10 evil cultivators before they could officially become a citizen of the immortal dynasty. In an instant, countless people defected to the immortal dynasty. The immortal dynasty was huge, and no one could compare to it. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 210 years old. This year, Ziru was also old and looked like a 100-year-old woman. Zhao Xiaodong, am I still beautiful? Lying on the bed, Ziru murmured. Wang Zhong could see that the energy in Ziru's body was dissipating crazily, dissipating even faster than when she took the energy-dispersing pill. After experiencing the life and death of so many people, Wang Zhong also understood that before a cultivator died, their energy would dissipate. Their cultivation would drop rapidly, and when the last trace of energy dissipated, the cultivator would die. Silly girl, your birthmark is gone. Of course you're beautiful, Wang Zhong said as he stroked Ziru's wrinkles. You're lying to me again. I'm not. But it's fine. Anyway, I was so ugly at that time, but you were still willing to be with me, Ziru murmured. Xiaodong, I'm so tired. I want to sleep. Wang Zhong didn't say anything. He only said softly, rest. Don't worry about the rest, I'll take care of it. Ziru closed her eyes and smiled. In her mind, Ziru seemed to see the scene when she first met Zhao Xiaodong. When she met Mao Feng, she accidentally fought with Zhao Xiaodong. After that, the two of them ate together, stayed at her place, and pretended to get married. As the energy in her body leaked out crazily, her arms slowly fell. In the end, she left peacefully. Chapter 218. Ziru left. Just like Lin Wu, she left peacefully. This could be considered a small consolation in Wang Zhong's heart. Suddenly he felt like laughing. Qi Wentian, Xiong Ba, LV Kai, and the others worked hard to prolong their lives and become immortals. However, when they saw the people around them leave one by one, he didn't know what they were thinking. Was it really good for a person to live until the end? After Ziru left, Wang Zhong also chose to abdicate. Now the matters of the imperial court were basically handed over to his son, Zhao Zhengwo. This son of his was the one with the strongest spirit root among his children. Therefore, Wang Zhong gave him this name Zhengwo. He hoped that he could be like him and govern the country steadily. Fortunately, Zhao Zhengwo didn't disappoint. Not only was Zhao Zhengwo powerful, but he was also proficient in both literature and martial arts since young. Therefore, Wang Zhong handed the country to him in advance. Aunt Zhu, Master. In the future, you will assist Zhao Zhengwo by his side. Normally, you will rest deep in the palace, understand? Looking at the huge fat pig in the courtyard, Wang Zhong said. Ever since the situation had stabilized, Wang Zhong had let Aunt Zhu live here. He had even designed a huge pigsty for her. Not only was this pig pen comfortable, but there were also 2 servant girls who would deliver food every day. Therefore, all these years, Aunt Zhu was raised to be extremely fat. However, don't be deceived by her fat appearance. Now, Aunt Zhu's strength was not inferior to any of the elders on the Immortal Mountain. Moreover, because demons had a lifespan several times longer than human cultivators, Aunt Zhu was still in her prime. Although he had asked Auntie Zhu to stay behind to guard this place, he still handed Auntie Zhu's soul over to Zhao Zhengwo and reminded him that this thing was to control Auntie Zhu. Otherwise, he couldn't guarantee that Auntie Zhu wouldn't listen to him. But thinking about it, Aunt Zhu shouldn't act rashly. It was very simple. She lived and ate well here. There was no need for her to rebel. Understood, Master. Aunt Zhu nodded. I'm leaving. My lifespan will probably be up in a few years. In the future, I'll leave it to you. Woo-woo. Unexpectedly, Auntie Zhu burst into tears. Master, I miss you. I want to be with you. Sigh, there's a difference between humans and demons. Just stay here. Wang Zhong sighed and finally left the place. Master. Sob. Auntie Zhu was very sad, but she knew that she would probably never see Wang Zhong again after he left. Sigh, I will protect this place for you, Master. Auntie Zhu sighed and returned to the pigsty. After that, Wang Zhong returned to the Immortal Mountain. Ziru, Lin Wu, and Lu Hua's tombstones were all here. Here, the mountain was filled with fresh flowers. Master, this morning, a woman in red saw Wang Zhong come to the cemetery again. She walked over from the bushes. Little Blossom. Wang Zhong nodded slightly when he saw who it was. Master, you will be living here from now on, Little Flower said. Now, Little Flower was no longer the little fairy of the past. Instead, she was a flower shaped like a trumpet. Wang Zhong didn't know the specific species, but he guessed that it was a local wildflower. Little Flower was no longer like a little girl who cried from time to time. She was much more mature now, and often wore red clothes to look at people. She was usually the closest to Ziru. After Ziru died, Little Flower planted her roots here. After all these years, flowers bloomed all over the mountain. Master, you said that humans go to the immortal world after death. What about us demons? After you leave, I don't know when I will leave this world. If I can still go to the immortal world, you have to take me with you. Little Flower sat at the side and propped her chin on her hand. Wang Zhong shook his head with a bitter smile. Your lifespan is even longer than Auntie Zhu's. Do you want to die so soon? Because I'm too bored. Everyone I know is dead. I'm afraid you don't have many years left. I'm suddenly afraid. Ever since Little Flower became stronger, she hadn't felt fear for many years. But now she was suddenly afraid. She was afraid of being alone. If you can go down the mountain and play when you have time. It's really boring to stay on this broken mountain all the time, Wang Zhong said. Okay, I know. Little Flower nodded. Wang Zhong sighed in his heart. Even Little Flower was afraid of being alone. He was basically alone now. Little Flower. Hey, Master, what's the matter? Anyway, I don't have anything to do. Let's go out incognito for a few years. We've been busy all these years and haven't had much time to play. Okay. Little Flower smiled happily. From that day onwards, Wang Zhong disguised himself as a successful businessman. Little Flower was his maid. One man and one flower traveled around the Celestial Dynasty. If they encountered injustice, Wang Zhong would secretly solve it. If they encountered strange things, he and Little Flower would watch a good show. If they encountered happy things, he and Little Flower would also be happy. Suddenly, many people said that they hadn't seen the previous ruler, Zhao Xiaodong, in a long time. Many people suspected that he was dead. Only those close to Wang Zhong knew that Zhao Xiaodong had gone out to travel. 30 years passed quietly. Wang Zhong found that he couldn't walk anymore. Little Flower didn't expect that these 30 years would be the happiest 30 years of her life. Zhao Xiaodong couldn't take it anymore. "Master, you'll be fine," Little Flower cried as she looked at Wang Zhong on the bed. Out of all the heirs, Wang Zhong had only allowed Zhao Zhangwo to come. "Zhangwo, I'm about to die. I've already said what I should say and teach you. There's no need to repeat it." "Sob, father," Zhao Zhangwo cried. Wang Zhong struggled to get up. He walked out of the room and went to Ghost Sword Mountain. He shouted, "From now on, the master of the Celestial Mountain is Zhao Xiaodong. I, Zhao Xiaodong, will no longer interfere in worldly affairs." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Zhong activated a wisp of soul power and placed it on the heaven-destroying general. If the Celestial Mountain was in trouble in the future, Wang Zhong's soul power would appear. This was the same move as Gao Dongtian's. He did this to do his best to protect the Celestial Mountain forever. After he was done, Wang Zhong's vitality was greatly damaged, and he returned to his room. "I don't have long to live, Master Sob," Little Flower cried. Zhao Zhangwo fainted from crying. Fortunately, there were only the two of them here. "Little Flower, don't tell anyone about my death. I'll protect the Celestial Mountain forever with my might." Wang Zhong believed that there were enemies in the dark. They didn't dare to show up because of him. Now that he was dead, it was best to hide the news of his death, to protect the Celestial Mountain forever. "Master," Little Flower hugged Wang Zhong's arm and cried. "Little Flower, I didn't expect you to be the one by my side in the end." Wang Zhong smiled. "Ziru Lu Hua, Lin Wu, you must have gone to the world of immortals. Too bad I won't be coming back." "Master," Little Flower called out. Wang Zhong's hand slowly fell to his side, and his body dissipated. Chapter 219. Quest Character: Zhao Xiaodong, son of the owner of the auspicious inn in Snow City Zhao Dahai. Quest Objective: Live past 21 years old. Lifespan: 254 years old. Partner 3. Your partners have lived as long as you, but in the end, they are ahead of you. Offspring 14. Some of the offspring are very outstanding, but some have also gone astray, but you have punished them severely. Achievement Evaluation: The power of the Emperor, the prosperity of the world. In this life, you have done very well. Reward: 66,900 experience points. Saving memory. A white light flashed and Wang Zhong, who was lying on the bed, opened his eyes. Seeing the amount of experience points this time, Wang Zhong was stunned. There are actually 66,900 experience points. This was simply more than the experience points from the previous games. After thinking carefully, Wang Zhong figured it out. In this life, not only did he let himself live to 21 years old, but he also solved the evil, overthrew the imperial court, and occupied the Celestial Mountain. Not only did he let the people live happily, but he also let the country's system, society, and culture achieve unprecedented development. Not only that, but his personal strength also became the world's #1. Therefore, with these points added together, it was normal for him to have more experience points. And now Wang Zhong was excited. With so much experience points, it was definitely enough to restore his body. But, after restoring, it seemed that he had to find a way to leave. Just as he was thinking about this, Wang Zhong subconsciously activated his internal energy to support his body. There was no thought. It was just a natural habit of more than 200 years in the game. When he reacted, Wang Zhong couldn't help but be stunned. There shouldn't be any internal energy, but in his body. What's up with the ultimate sword? He now clearly felt that the ultimate sword in his abdomen seemed to have followed him. Isn't this a game? Why is the ultimate sword still in my body? Wang Zhong suddenly became excited. When the game returned, he didn't take out the ultimate sword. It wasn't on purpose, but he was already dead, so he didn't think too much. But now it was still in his body. Soul transmigration, that's right, soul transmigration. Wang Zhong suddenly remembered that every time he played the game, Although his identity and body were different, his face and soul were always the same. This limitless sword was in his soul, so it wasn't strange for it to follow him. The question was, if the limitless sword was real, then was this game also real? At this moment, Wang Zhong felt that there was a huge secret hidden behind this game. He didn't have the time to think about these things now. He had to recover his body first. In addition to the previous EXP, he now had a total of 76,123 EXP. Without hesitation, he purchased the Potion of Life. 10,000 EXP successfully exchanged for health liquid. 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 This time, he exchanged for a total of 4 bottles of liquid of life. As the medicinal liquid entered his body, Wang Zhong felt his entire body become refreshed. The parts of his body that he couldn't move before began to move. I really recovered. Wang Zhong wanted to laugh, but he held it in. The guards were still at the door, so he had to bear with it. He quietly got out of bed. Although his body had recovered, it was still too weak. Suddenly, Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. His body had already recovered, so what was the point of continuing this game? Thinking of this, Wang Zhong wanted to open the system to see if there was anything else he could buy. But at this time, the system opened itself, and a line of words appeared. Detected that the host's body has recovered, opening the exchange store. There was only one line of words in the store. Enter an item that appeared in the game. Spend EXP to exchange for it. So it's like this. Wang Zhong nodded slightly. This game was very user-friendly. First, he just realized a serious problem. Although the limitless sword followed his soul into this world was different from that world. Here, there was no spiritual energy in the air for him to train his internal strength. This meant that although he had the limitless sword in his body, he couldn't use it. But if he could exchange for items that appeared in the game, then it would be different. Wang Zhong decisively entered. Spiritual root elixir, spiritual root elixir. These were all things for cultivation. With these things, even if there was no spiritual energy in the air, it would still be barely enough for him to train, but it would be a waste of EXP. But then again, there were so many EXP, and since his body had recovered, it didn't matter. Spiritual root elixir, 3,000 EXP per bottle. Spiritual root elixir, 500 EXP per pill. Seeing this price, Wang Zhong frowned. The price was not cheap. The spiritual root elixir was 3,000 EXP per bottle. The effect of the spiritual root elixir was very powerful. In addition to the rapid recovery of internal strength, it was generally required for leveling up. As for the spiritual root elixir, its effect was only a small amount of internal strength recovery. But it was enough. Wang Zhong bought 5 bottles of spiritual root elixir without hesitation, spending 15,000 EXP in one go. Now he only had 21,123 EXP left. It seemed that he had a lot of EXP left, but Wang Zhong knew that if he continued to train, he would need even more spiritual root elixir. These EXP are really easy to spend, Wang Zhong said as he drank a small mouthful of spiritual root elixir. In an instant there was a feeling in his body. Wang Zhong quickly followed the circulation of the skill in the game, and began to circulate throughout his body. A gust of internal strength slowly rose. However, as the internal strength rose, Wang Zhong felt as if his body was about to explode. Wang Zhong was naturally very clear about this feeling. What was going on? In the path of cultivation, one had to pay attention to the order and progress. If one were to blindly eat and let the internal strength grow, not only would it not succeed, it would also backfire. This was also the reason why the foundation was very important. He had been paralyzed in bed for many years, and the muscles in his body had long atrophied. So at present his foundation was not good. No, my body is too weak. I have to slowly recuperate during this period. Wang Zhong heaved a sigh of relief, and began to recover his body. After a night, Wang Zhong sensed the door and his heart skipped a beat. Shen Shuangshuang was at the door again, deliberately not coming in. Monitoring me? Wang Zhong did not say anything, and just silently waited. At this time, Shen Shuangshuang finally came in. Click! Shen Shuangshuang opened the door and smiled. Wang Zhong, you're awake. Wang Zhong slowly opened his eyes. You know I'm awake. Shen Shuangshuang came over. I'm just guessing. Well, every time you come over, why do you guard my door and watch me? Wang Zhong asked. You're really amazing. You're already like this, but you can still sense this? Shen Shuangshuang said. You haven't answered me. Well, actually, I really wanted to take care of you, but now I've changed my mind. Wang Zhong frowned, not quite understanding Shen Shuangshuang's meaning. Wang Zhong, you are not paralyzed, right? Can you move your hands and feet? Shen Shuangshuang suddenly asked. Chapter 220. Hearing this, Wang Zhong looked at Shen Shuangshuang coldly. At this moment, he was already considering whether to get rid of Shen Shuangshuang directly and create an accident scene. He had never done this kind of thing before, but there was an accident killer in his previous profession who specialized in creating all kinds of accidents. There were a few scenes that were more suitable for this place. For example, Shen Shuangshuang accidentally fell and hit her head in the corner of the wall. Another example was Shen Shuangshuang eating a steamed bun on the table, which could make her choke to death. In short, there were at least 7 kinds of accidents in this room that could make Shen Shuangshuang die. Seeing Wang Zhong's gaze, Shen Shuangshuang suddenly felt a chill down her spine and quickly said, I don't mean any harm. Wang Zhong decided to figure out her purpose first. Tell me in detail, why are you here? This Shen Shuangshuang definitely had another purpose. Because, you are the benefactor of my family. Shen Shuangshuang suddenly said, You killed the group of people in the caravan, remember? That group of people and I have a grudge. Wang Zhong said, Well, it's a grudge for you, but it's also a grudge for us. My father was doing business and borrowed money from those people. But we didn't expect that the interest would compound. We couldn't afford it even after selling 3 houses. In the end, my father was forced to commit suicide by jumping off a building. Is that so? Shen Shuangshuang nodded slightly. Later they caught my mother and me. I thought I was dead, but that night you came in. Wang Zhong remembered what happened at that time. The caravan, because of this, forced his parents to death when he was a child. Later, he was sold by the caravan to an underground boxing ring for children. With his outstanding strength, he was quickly spotted by an assassin organization. Since then, on the surface, he was a veterinarian. In fact, he was a veterinarian. But secretly, he was nicknamed the Cold-Faced Killer. At that time, after finishing the assassination mission on hand, he accidentally found clues about his parents being forced to their deaths. His parents had been tricked by a gangster in the caravan, who had borrowed a lot of money. In the end, his family was ruined. Thus, he secretly took care of that guy. But he didn't expect the caravan to find out. That guy was already a small leader of the caravan. Now that the small leader was dead, the boss naturally had to act. Thus, a bloody storm unfolded. The boss of the caravan issued a bounty of 1 million federal coins for his head. In the end, Wang Zhong secretly dealt with the boss of the caravan again. That was why there was no kill order. And he was indeed sick at that time. After he fell ill, he entered this place. So you came here to repay a debt of gratitude? Wang Zhong asked. Well, I just want to see what the person who saved me and my mother looks like, Shen Shuangshuang said. Wang Zhong didn't know if what Shen Shuangshuang said was true or not. But it didn't matter. He would leave here sooner or later anyway. Brother Wang Zhong, is your body really okay? How can you tell? Shen Shuangshuang squeezed out a smile. Although I'm a nurse, I used to be a surgeon. When I cleaned your body for the first time, I noticed that the muscles in your hands and legs seemed to be lively. Is that so? In an instant, Wang Zhong reached out and grabbed Shen Shuangshuang's neck. Then tell me, should I kill you? Brother Wang, I don't mean any harm. If I wanted to betray you, I would have said so. Wang Zhong was still holding her neck. Then what's your purpose? I just came in to see you. I thought that if you were suffering here, I would help you. But since you're fine, I'm preparing to leave in a few days. Shen Shuangshuang hurriedly said. But since you're fine, why did you choose to stay here? You don't need to know this. Wang Zhong let go of his hand and sat up slowly. You must have pulled some strings to get in, right? Shen Shuangshuang rubbed her neck and came to a realization. No wonder. After all, you have to hide from them. Who am I hiding from? Wang Zhong found it strange. He knew that his enemies were all dead. Your enemy Qin Qing. He's already dead. My knife pierced his heart. Wang Zhong said calmly. You don't know. Shen Shuangshuang was stunned. No what? He's a mirror man. The position of his heart is opposite to a normal person's. That time you only made him faint. The news of his death was fake. What? I just found out not long ago. Not only is Chen Qing not dead, but because you helped him get rid of his boss, Chen Qing is now the boss of the caravan. His position is higher than before. Then why didn't he kill me? Wang Zhong said. I'm not sure. But to him, you're not a threat because you're paralyzed. His blind mission is to command the subordinates of the previous boss. Shen Shuangshuang analyzed. If you know he's still alive, will you go out? Wang Zhong glanced at Shen Shuangshuang and asked. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Why would you kill me? I already said that if I wanted to harm you, I would have done it long ago. Anyway, if you want to go out, I can help you. Tell me about it. I'm already very familiar with the guards here. When the time comes, I can give them some medicine and let them sleep for a while. No need. I can leave by myself. Wang Zhong looked at the metal door in front of him. When his inner chi technique improved, he would be able to leap onto roofs and vault over walls. When the time comes, he could leave directly. Leave by yourself? That's fine. But if you need, I can make some fake documents for you. This way, you'll have a proper identity outside. Okay then. This Shen Shuangshuang seemed to be quite useful. Wang Zhong agreed. At the same time, that Chen Qing was still alive. According to his calculations, the reason why Chen Qing didn't do anything to him was because he was paralyzed. On the other hand, Chen Qing's first priority was to seize power after his boss died. When everything was settled, Chen Qing would be the one to slowly settle the score with him. It seemed that he really had to leave early. Wang Zhong said, Shen Shuangshuang, don't mention anything about me to anyone. Leave after you're done. Okay. Wang Zhong washed his body. After Shen Shuangshuang left, he started to cultivate. First, he had to train his body's foundation. Only with a strong body could he cultivate his inner chi. At present, Wang Zhong didn't know what level his spirit root was. He couldn't check it himself. He could only rely on his experience from his previous life to slowly explore. During this period, Wang Zhong also arranged for Shen Sisi to buy a lot of news from the outside world. He found out that Chen Qing was not only living well, but he also cleared his name and was now the chairman of a large corporation. It was very impressive. From some of the news, Wang Zhong could deduce that Chen Qing had already consolidated his power very well. Most of his former boss's capable subordinates were nowhere to be seen. It was obvious that Chen Qing had taken care of them. 5 days later, on a good day, Wang Zhong was pushed to the square by Shen Shuangshuang. He hadn't been here for a few days, but there were many newcomers. There was a muscular man. Wang Zhong saw him coming in and smiled at him. What are you smiling at? Wang Zhong looked at him expressionlessly. He. He's called Strong Boulder the Giant, an underground boxer. He was sent here because he intentionally killed people in every competition. Maka the Ripper said. Is that so? He's wrong about one thing. Strongholder was chained up by a huge chain. He smiled sinisterly. The other reason I came in is to look for you. Chapter 221. Wang Zhong was expressionless. You're looking for me? Yep. I received a sum of money for that. Strongboulder smiled. Qin Qing told you to come? Aha. Looks like you've heard that he's not dead. Sigh, so he really did come. Wang Zhong sighed. Don't worry. Brother Chen told me to play with you. After all, if it weren't for you, he wouldn't be standing at the peak. How do you want to play with me? Wang Zhong glanced at his chains. You seem to be chained up. Hee, that's not a big problem for me. You're paralyzed right now, so you can't feel any pain. It's boring. However, I heard that you can only feel pain in your face, so I've decided to feed you shit. Ha, interesting. You should still have a sense of taste, so if Brother Chen finds out about this, He'll definitely be very satisfied, Strong Boulder said to himself. Unfortunately, you can't deal with me. You can't break free from your chains. Then let's wait and see. Alright, let's wait and see. The time for relief passed very quickly. Shen Shuangshuang came in again and pushed Wang Zhong out. What did that Strong Boulder guy say to you? He seemed very fierce, Shen Shuangshuang muttered. It's nothing. He's just a small fry. When Wang Zhong pushed him out, he turned his head and glanced at Strong Boulder. He smiled. Strong Boulder was slightly surprised when he saw this. How can this guy's neck be turned around? He was very curious, but he was just a paralyzed person. No one would pay attention to a paralyzed assassin. In the next few days, Wang Zhong trained himself in an orderly manner. On this day, when Shen Shuangshuang brought the food over again, her expression didn't look right. Do you have something to say? Wang Zhong asked. You have to be careful today. When I passed by the other prison cells, I saw quite a few of Chen Qing's subordinates. They seemed to have snuck in. Really? Wang Zhong did not find this strange. It's fine. You should leave early. I've brought you a knife. There's no need. Wang Zhong shook his head. These days, the cultivation of his internal strength had been perfected. He really didn't need these things. This, Shen Shuangshuang didn't know what to do all of a sudden. But when she saw how confident Wang Zhong was, she chose to trust him. Have you finished preparing my documents in the past few days? Wang Zhong asked again. Yes, it's done. But how do you plan to leave this place? Just give me your number. All right then. Shen Shuangshuang didn't know what Wang Zhong would do next. But she thought that since he was so calm, he should be fine. At night, the prison, which had been quiet all this time, suddenly became noisy. Do-do-do, do-do-do. In an instant, the alarm in the prison rang. Quick, someone is breaking out of prison. A prison guard ran over from the door. Hurry up and help. All right. The guard at the door left immediately. Now was the time to use people. Of course, no one would care about guarding here. Seeing this, Wang Zhong knew that today was probably going to be interesting. Judging from the sound, it was obviously chaotic outside. There was a riot in the prison. This was a federal heavy-duty prison. It was usually heavily guarded, but something like this actually happened. There was no need to guess. It must be unusual. Ring, ring, ring. The alarm in the prison rang loudly. After a while, more and more prisoners appeared outside, and the noise became louder and louder. Wang Zhong saw that the two guards who had been guarding him threw away their helmets and ran over. These prisoners are crazy. Call for backup, call for backup. Following which, the two of them completely ignored Wang Zhong and escaped. Wang Zhong understood that at this moment, this place had become the prisoner's world. He should be here. Well, let's go. Boss Chen said that he wanted to take a video of him with his own eyes. Ha ha ha. This voice was obviously Strong Boulder's. I've been unhappy with him for a long time. Horse Ripper laughed. So many old friends. Wang Zhong lay on the bed and looked at the ceiling. This was going to be interesting. They were probably here for him. Tap tap tap. The iron bars at the door were being knocked. A large group of people was already guarding the door. Strong Boulder, Marco Mask, and Poison Loli were all there. Sob sob sob. So this is the grim killer. So pitiful, Poison Loli said. Follow me if you want, but don't block my way. If not, I'll kill you all. Strong Boulder flashed his huge fist. Beside him was a group of burly men. Clearly, these people were sent in by Chen Qing. Boss Chen is really generous this time. He sent so many people in just to kill one person, Marco said. Can you all still get out? Mask asked coldly. Of course. Strong Boulder shrugged. The riot this time was caused by us. Since we can do it once, we can do it again. When the time comes, I'll be able to get out. As Strong Boulder spoke, he ordered his men to open the door. It was unknown where they got the key. The door was quickly pushed open. Wang Zhong lay on the bed and said expressionlessly, Strong Boulder, you finally came. Yes, I even brought some gifts. Strong Boulder smiled and waved a woven bag in his hand. Good stuff. It's been a night. It must be cold, Wang Zhong said. Haha, it's fine. I'll get you some later. I'll turn on the phone first to make Brother Chen happy. Strong Boulder used some tricks to get a phone. His goal was simple. He wanted to show Chen Qing Wang Zhong's appearance. The phone connected to the internet. Soon a video appeared. At the other end of the video was a man with a sinister gaze. Strongboulder said respectfully, "Brother Chen, according to the plan it's done." As he spoke, he aimed the video at Wang Zhong, who was lying on the bed. Ahaha! Seeing the weak, helpless and pitiful Wang Zhong on the bed, Chen Qing in the video laughed loudly. He held a glass of red wine and sat at a dining table, elegantly eating a steak. Beside him, a beautiful woman was massaging him. It was as comfortable as it could be. Cold-faced doctor, you didn't expect this, did you? I, Chen Qing, am not dead. Chen Qing said with a smile. Wang Zhong was expressionless. I really didn't expect this. Heh, you didn't expect this either. I'm now the boss of the cartel. The people who entered your prison this time were all sent by me, right? Yes, I didn't expect you to be so capable. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, my boss wouldn't have died, and I wouldn't have reached this stage today. What do you think? Wang Zhong said. So this is how you thank me? Heh, of course. Let's cut to the chase. I'll make you eat sh*t today. Chen Qing shouted. After all, you are someone who killed me once. I must reward you well. What do you think? Boss Chen. At this moment, Marco suddenly rushed out and came to the front of the video. Hey, what are you doing? Strongboulder shouted. Strongboulder, don't be nervous. Let him speak. Chen Qing said calmly in the video. All right, kid, hurry up and speak, Strongboulder said. Marco smiled. Boss Chen, I believe you know who I am. I have a way to make people suffer extreme pain. I'm willing to serve you and let him feel this pain as long as you can help me leave. I, Marco, am willing to serve you. This is a small matter. Anyway, I'll arrange for the next prison riot, Chen Qing said. Chapter 222. All right. With Boss Chen's words, I, Marco, can rest assured. Marco smiled at Wang Zhong. I'll perform a small surgery on you later to open your chest. Don't worry, I won't let you die. I'll just let you watch as your chest is dissected. Ha ha ha, interesting. Chen Qing also laughed in the video. If that's the case, I have a way to make him suffer. Mask walked out. I want to go out too. I'm sure. As long as you can make him feel pain, it won't be a problem to let you go out, Chen Qing said indifferently. Sob sob sob, I can go out too. Poison Loli also laughed. All right. Anything is fine. Chen Qing shrugged. All right, I'll start now, Strongboulder said while holding feces. Sob sob sob, I think I should start first. Otherwise, I'll be covered in feces. It stinks, Poison Loli said coquettishly, but her words were very vicious. When Strongboulder heard that, it seemed to be the case. Marco and Mask also nodded slightly. They were going to make a move later. They didn't want to make a move on someone covered in feces. Poison Loli was just about to go up when Marco said, Let me do it. No one knew where he found a knife. I'll open his chest first. But with my precise methods, I guarantee he won't die. After saying that, the knife was about to slice down. However, at this moment, a cold hand suddenly intercepted Marco's knife. Then, Wang Zhong swung the knife violently, and it instantly hit Strongboulder's arm that was holding the phone. Ah! Strongboulder cried out in pain. His phone fell to the ground, and the screen turned black. Wang Zhong didn't stop. He grabbed Marco's neck next. Bang! Wang Zhong slammed Marco's head against the wall. Everyone was stunned. How could a paralyzed person move? As for Marco, he was smashed until he was dizzy. Wang Zhong slowly walked down from the bed and turned his head. How troublesome. You're not paralyzed. Strongboulder pointed at Wang Zhong with a horrified expression. It was rumored that Wang Zhong was an assassin. He was very skilled. How could such a person be fine? I'll kill you. At this time, Marco was furious from being smashed. He turned his head and charged at Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong reached out and grabbed Marco's neck with ease. He laughed and said, You want to disembowel someone like you? Everyone, attack together. Finish him, Marco said with difficulty. Wang Zhong nodded. Your courage is commendable. He reached out, grabbed Marco's neck and slammed him against the wall. Marco's head instantly flattened. However, he wasn't dead yet. He was just twitching nonstop. Ah, masked strong boulder. And their lackeys charged over. Wang Zhong's expression didn't change. After cultivating for so many days, although his strength was far less than 1/10,000th of his previous strength, it was enough to deal with this group of ordinary people. With a wave of his hand, his energy transformed into an invisible fist and smashed toward Zhang Xian. Chi chi chi. The group of people were all smashed to the ground with just one punch. It was a one-hit kill. Beating people up was just that simple. Strong Boulder's body was good, so he actually wasn't dead yet. He looked at Wang Zhong in horror with his face covered in blood. How did you? Are all the boxing champions nowadays like this? Wang Zhong was very disappointed. Even if he didn't have any energy left, it would be too easy to deal with someone like this, if he still had his previous body. Go, I won't see you off. Wang Zhong kicked at Strong Boulder's jaw, instantly snapping his neck. Sob, so powerful. Venomous Loli actually didn't leave. Instead, she cried out. You're not afraid of me? Wang Zhong frowned. Although he had dealt with many people, he was a very ordinary person. Everything he had done before was purely for the sake of the mission. Therefore, he felt rather uncomfortable when he saw these irrational people. This was especially true for Venomous Loli. Logically speaking, she should be running away in fear. Of course I'm afraid. But I think I should be able to deal with you. Venomous Loli was still smiling. But her smile gradually became arrogant, sinister, and cruel. Her lowly face was just her disguise. Oh, is that so? I really want to know how you're going to deal with me. Wang Zhong said indifferently. You might not know, but the moment you attacked, I had already spread the poisonous fog here. This kind of gas can make people unconscious for 3 minutes. I'm very happy. You've been fighting for so long. Do you feel numb now? It really is. Wang Zhong nodded. Sob. Cold-faced doctor. I didn't expect you to die in my hands. My decision to come in was indeed right. Hee. Venomous Loli laughed. Her originally delicate face became more and more ferocious. It seems like you came in to find me, Wang Zhong said. And you are also an assassin. Yes, it's a pity that I'm not as famous as you. But it doesn't matter. After I deal with you, I'll think of a way to leave this place. Sob, I'll be famous. Wang Zhong sighed. You have great ambitions. Unfortunately, you won't have this chance in the future. What do you mean? Wang Zhong slowly walked towards her and said coldly, Your poison doesn't seem to have any effect on me. He was indeed poisoned previously, but Wang Zhong used his strength to expel the poison immediately, so it did not affect him at all. Impossible, Before Venomous Loli could finish speaking, Wang Zhong easily pinched her neck. Such a beautiful face. You'll definitely cry after a few punches. No. Venomous Loli's eyes widened, but Wang Zhong did not hesitate to throw a punch. Bang, bang, bang. After a few punches, she did not even have the chance to cry. Not long after, Venomous Loli was beaten into a pig's head. Crack. Without the slightest hesitation, Wang Zhong crushed her neck. After looking at the pile of people on the ground, and confirming that there were no survivors, Wang Zhong pulled out the wires from the ceiling. After electrocuting a corpse a few times, a flame quickly ignited. Wang Zhong piled these people together, and the fire grew bigger and bigger. Today there are no more cold-faced killers here. Looking at these corpses, Wang Zhong felt a little helpless. He suddenly realized that his nickname was a little Chinibu. However, he swore to the heavens that this nickname was not given to him by himself. It was given to him by outsiders after he carried out a few missions. He felt very helpless. Then, he put on a large shirt and quickly ran to the place where the commotion was happening. Today we have to leave this place. Yes, brothers, let's charge out. Outside, the prisoners who were causing trouble shouted with all their might. In fact, they knew that they could not leave, but it would be a waste if they did not shout to join in the fun. Wang Zhong walked very quickly and shuttled through the crowd. As he kept his head down, no one noticed him. Soon he came to the toilet. In this place, he could reach the roof by following the wall. The wall was very high, so no one was guarding this place. Wang Zhong raised his head and looked behind him. Then, taking advantage of the night, he suddenly activated his strength and climbed up. Ring, 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 for a moment. Not only did the alarm in the prison ring, but even the fire alarm went off. More than an hour later, the bomb squad rushed in and suppressed the situation. At this moment, Wang Zhong had already arrived at the street outside. He came to the window of a nearby house and took 2 pieces of clothing. Wang Zhong frowned. It was female clothing. This meant that the person living inside was a girl. Helpless, he could only throw it away and continue walking. Soon, he saw a flowery shirt at the door of another room. Well, although the taste was a little bad, it was barely acceptable. Shen Shuangshuang was at home at this moment, nervously looking at the TV screen. According to the news, a riot had broken out in the prison Wang Zhong was in. Not only that, there was even a fire in one of the cells. Due to the fire trucks not being able to enter the cell, the fire spread and affected several other cells. It was said that many people were burned to death, and their bodies were stuck together. Wang Zhong, I wonder how he is. Shen Shuangshuang really could not figure out how Wang Zhong could leave under such circumstances. Ring, ring, ring. At this moment her cell phone rang. Shen Shuangshuang was stunned. It was an unknown number. She picked it up and the person on the other side said, "At your door." Chapter 223. This voice was obviously Wang Zhong's. He really escaped. For a moment, Shen Shuangshuang's heart was filled with mixed feelings. Although she really admired Wang Zhong and was grateful to him for saving her and her mother, strictly speaking, he was a killer with a high risk. What if he did something bad to her? I'm still a child. Dong dong dong. Shen Shuangshuang knocked on the door coldly. Now that Wang Zhong was outside the door, Shen Shuangshuang had no choice but to open the door. At the door, Wang Zhong walked in wearing a checkered shirt. Before he came, Wang Zhong had already figured out Shen Shuangshuang's door. When he was downstairs, he used a public phone to call her. It couldn't be helped. Shen Shuangshuang had volunteered to help. He wouldn't be polite. So when he saw Shen Shuangshuang's pale face, he directly ignored it. Shen Shuangshuang lived alone at home. Wang Zhong already knew this. Her mother lived in another city. Shen Shuangshuang lived here purely for work. Is there anything to eat? I'm a little hungry. Yes. Yes. Shen Shuangshuang quickly nodded. At this moment, she didn't know how to face Wang Zhong. When you came over, no one saw you. Shen Shuangshuang asked worriedly. Don't worry. No one noticed. That's good. If you want to go out in the future, I can help you with your makeup. Shen Shuangshuang pointed at the things on the dressing table not far away. I'm pretty good at makeup. We'll talk about this later. Wang Zhong touched his chin. He wasn't worried about his appearance, identity, and future life. After all, he was a killer in his previous life. Didn't he live well in the underground world? Now for him there were a few things he had to do. First, he wanted to live a peaceful life for a few days. Second, after he figured out the situation, he would find Chen Qing and get rid of him. After that, he began to conceal his identity and live a peaceful life. In fact, he was not a person who liked to fight and kill. He no longer participated in his previous life as an assassin. I will be living here for the next few days. Don't worry, I will calculate the rent and meals accordingly. However, I don't have any money on hand at the moment, but I will have it soon. Wang Zhong said as he ate the noodles cooked by Shen Shuangshuang. It doesn't matter. Shen Shuangshuang waved her hand. Then you can stay here for the next few days. Don't go out for the time being. Although your appearance hasn't appeared on TV much, it's still possible for someone to see it. It doesn't matter. Once I've dealt with Chen Qing, I'll have a way to make some information about me disappear. Wang Zhong spoke in an indifferent tone. His organization was still very powerful. All right, I'll help you tidy up your room. Shen Shuangshuang turned around and left. Wang Zhong ate his noodles. Just as he finished, the system panel flashed in front of Wang Zhong. Successfully unlocked new reborn character, Ugly Monster Tang Yi. Mission objective. I don't want to be looked down upon, ridiculed, and laughed at because of my ugly appearance. I want to gain respect and dignity. Ugly Monster Tang Yi, the worst start again. Wang Zhong felt that he was used to this kind of worse start. Previously, it was either because his body was weak, or because his family was so poor that they couldn't afford to eat. He met his gambler father, and had to eat worms every day to survive. After that, he was so miserable that he couldn't live past 21 years old. And this time, he was actually an ugly monster. There was no worst, only worse. Anyway, it was just miserable. But thinking about it, if these reborn people were living well, why would they need him to be reborn? Wasn't the purpose of his rebirth to change these people's lives? I'm done eating. Wang Zhong closed the panel and stood up. I'm going to take a shower and rest early. You can tidy up the room. Oh. Shen Shuangshuang walked out and passed him something like a bath towel. Wang Zhong quickly went to take a bath, and returned to his room, without avoiding arousing suspicion. He closed the door, and locked it to prevent people from peeking in the middle of the night. Then he decisively opened the system. Let's start the game, Wang Zhong said in his heart. Now he couldn't wait to start the game. Cultivation consumed too much EXP. How could he not earn more EXP? Reborn character, Ugly Monster Tang Yi. Character introduction. Ugly Monster Tang Yi, abandoned by his parents since the day he was born, grew up in an orphanage. Because of his ugly appearance, Tang Yi was bullied in the orphanage since he was young. After school, although he worked hard to learn martial arts, hoping to have a place in this country where martial arts were prevalent, he was still looked down by his classmates. Because the woman he loved rejected his pursuit, he didn't have the heart to learn martial arts. After graduation, he couldn't find a good job because of his ugly appearance. Although he tried his best to live, he still couldn't accomplish anything until the day he died because of his ugly appearance. In the end, he lived alone in a house less than 10 square meters and died alone. Mission objective. I don't want to be looked down upon, ridiculed, and laughed at because of my ugly appearance. I want to gain respect and dignity. Mission completion reward. Randomly awarded experience points. Although there wasn't much information, Wang Zhong learned a lot of important information. The country he was about to go to was a country where martial arts were prevalent. Previously, when he saw that he was ugly, Wang Zhong was still thinking about how to survive, how to complete the mission, and how to gain respect. He thought about it. There was an orphanage, which meant that it was a modern society. Then if he wanted to gain respect, he could consider becoming a good teacher, or a good politician. In short, he just had to work for the welfare of the people. Or he could have a successful career, become an entrepreneur, a boss, and then do some good things like donate money and build schools. But after reading further, he realized that it was a place where martial arts were prevalent. It seems that this life is more troublesome, Wang Zhong thought. First of all, the prevalence of martial arts meant that the social structure and way of doing things were definitely different from the society he lived in. Secondly, it also meant that the society should be carried out around martial arts. Then, there might be very few situations where music, novels, and movies could be used. Sigh. I originally wanted to be a plagiarist or something. This mission is much easier, but now it seems that it's not that simple. These thoughts were said so much, but in fact they were just flashes. The next moment, a white light flashed, and Wang Zhong's eyes were dark. Miss, you're about to give birth. Where's your family? The voice was polite and continued. Without your family's signature, it's very difficult for our hospital. Wang Zhong instantly understood that he was in the hospital. Doctor, please help me. If my parents know that I'm pregnant, they'll kill me. A crisp female voice shouted anxiously. You're making it very difficult for me. Your parents didn't come, but your boyfriend should be here, right? Woo. He doesn't want me anymore. Please help me. Ouch. My stomach hurts. Wang Zhong was instantly speechless. It turned out that he was an illegitimate child, and couldn't be exposed. No wonder he was abandoned. Sigh, let's go to the delivery room first. The doctor was helpless. A few nurses took action. Dr. How, this girl doesn't have her family's signature. What if something happens? She's still so young, so it should be her first child. Moreover, she hasn't done a prenatal checkup, so we don't know her blood type. Before the nurse could finish, Dr. How said helplessly, The key is that if we don't save her now, she'll definitely die. But if we save her, there might be a glimmer of hope. Then, I don't care. You guys get ready. I'll personally deliver her. Her indicators are quite normal, so she should be able to give birth naturally. All right then. Chapter 224. Wah wah wah. Wang Zhong originally did not want to cry, but this time, his eyes seemed to be unable to open. The nurse beside him kept patting him and muttering why the child was not crying. This was the level of modern professional medical treatment. Compared to the midwives in ancient times, the nurse immediately noticed that something was wrong with Wang Zhong. This was because children had to cry when they were just born. Only by crying could they learn to breathe. However, Wang Zhong actually knew how to breathe, so he did not need to cry. However, in the nurse's eyes, that was not right. He had no choice but to cry in order to act normal. Wah wah wah! As a crisp sound was heard, the woman on the hospital bed sighed in relief. Dr. Hao and the nurses in the ward also breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks to the medical technology of modern society, although there were some difficulties in the beginning, fortunately, both mother and child were safe in the end. However, after seeing the child's face, the doctor and the nurses were all shocked. Is it a son or a daughter? The woman asked weakly. It's a boy. Dr. Hao sighed. It's just, what's wrong? You didn't have a checkup before you died, right? The doctor asked. The girl nodded slightly. I'm still in school. I don't know what to do. Sob sob sob. Sigh, what a sin. The doctor shook his head. The child has already been born, but there is a large scar on his face. You can also call it a birthmark. Birthmark? Yes, the area is quite large. With the current medical technology, even when the child grows up, I'm afraid that it will not be easy to remove this scar. It may accompany him for the rest of his life. Dr. Hao said something that broke Wang Zhong's heart. No wonder I've never thought of plastic surgery when I'm so ugly. It turned out that even plastic surgery could not remove this birthmark. Wang Zhong, who knew the truth, cried even harder. How about this? Although you've paid the fees, you're now in your confinement period. Someone must take care of you. What's your parents' phone number? You must tell them about this. Can I think about it for a while? All right then. Dr. Hao nodded. Have you thought of a name? The girl shook her head. Her eyes were filled with uneasiness and helplessness. After all, she was still underage. How could she know what to do now? Her mind was in a mess. Then you should rest for a while. I hope you can ask your parents to come over in the afternoon. If they can't, we can only call the police. However, after calling the police, it's very likely that you'll have a criminal record. This won't be good for your future martial arts career. Do you understand? Got it. Thank you, doctor. Then rest well. Then, the nurse brought in some nutritious food for the girl to eat, and the group of people left. The girl ate something, and then picked up Wang Zhong. After seeing Wang Zhong's face, the girl's expression froze, and she burst into tears. Child, I'm sorry. Wang Zhong wanted to curse in his heart, but his voice hadn't developed yet, so he couldn't speak at all. Child, my poor child. Mother has no choice. Then, Wang Zhong drank the milk for a while. He felt dizzy and fell asleep. When he woke up, he suddenly felt that the warm feeling was gone. The girl kissed his forehead. I hope there's a kind person who will take you in. Mother can't bring you along. I'm sorry. There were rustling sounds. Wang Zhong knew that she was putting on her clothes. Wang Zhong didn't cry or make a fuss because there was no need. Bam! There was the sound of the door closing. Half an hour later, the nurses rushed in. Hey, where's the girl? Why is she missing? Her child is still here. Oh no, she must have run away. Call the police. Soon the police came to register. However, because the girl came in a hurry to give birth, she didn't register her identity card. No one knew where she came from. In the end, the matter was left unsettled. This child will be taken care of in your hospital for the time being. When he's older, if you can't find his family, you can only send him to the orphanage. The policewoman said to the nurses. Then she glanced at Wang Zhong. Sigh, how pitiful. He was born with such a big birthmark on his face, and no one wants him. Sigh. After that, Wang Zhong stayed in the hospital. Fortunately, the nurses and doctors were good people. He was well taken care of. This child is so sensible. He doesn't even cry. A fat nurse sighed. It's a pity that his face is a little ugly. Otherwise, I can ask him to take care of my relative who can't get pregnant. Isn't that so? If his face was better, he could find a family to adopt him. It's a pity. Wang Zhong sighed when he heard that. Sure enough, although the world was different, it was a world where looks mattered. This child doesn't have a name yet. Let's give him a name. Dr. Hao, what do you think? The fat nurse saw Dr. Hao enter the ward and asked. Dr. Hao thought about it and said casually, "This year is the 1000th anniversary of the founding of the Tang Federation. Let's call him Tang Yi. This is a child of the motherland." So that's how I got this name. Although it was a little casual, it didn't matter. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Just as Wang Zhong guessed, the police couldn't find the whereabouts of his biological mother. It was as if she had evaporated. During this period, although he had been living in the hospital, the nurses found many kind-hearted people who wanted to take him in. However, many people shook their heads when they saw his face. He's too ugly. Is there a good-looking child? He's so ugly. No girl will like him in the future. Damn, who would want such an ugly child? Isn't that so? Although I can't have children, I wouldn't want such an ugly child even if you gave me one. One by one they chattered. Wang Zhong heard all these words. Although he roughly knew his fate in the future, hearing these voices still made him very uncomfortable. Sigh, this child is getting bigger and bigger. Since you don't want him, send him to the orphanage. Finally, Dr. Hao spoke. There was no other way. Seeing that the child was getting bigger and bigger, the hospital couldn't keep Wang Zhong forever. Alright then. I'll contact the orphanage in the city right away. Okay. 3 days later, someone finally came to pick up Wang Zhong. During this period of time, Wang Zhong had gained some understanding of this world. This was a country called the Tang Federation. Martial arts were prevalent. He could often hear the nurses chatting about what kind of martial arts his relative practiced, and how he was accepted by Huaqing University, or some other university. As such, Wang Zhong understood the situation. This was a low-tech world. Martial arts were weaker than the vigor kung fu in his previous life, but the technology was more advanced. Although there were many martial arts experts, they were still not enough in the face of guns and cannons. On this day, Wang Zhong sat alone in the hospital corridor, looking at the people coming and going. Because the whole nation practiced martial arts, most of the people here were stronger. Of course, there were also some who were not suitable for martial arts. They were in ordinary jobs. Generally speaking, experts who practiced martial arts were greatly welcomed here. Today, he was wearing new clothes that the nurses bought for him with money. He carried a small school bag with some of his toys inside. Some of them were sent by kind-hearted people. Although he didn't want to play with them, they still sent a lot of them. Soon a nurse walked over. Tang Yi, Director Lin is here to pick you up. Let's go. Wang Zhong understood that he was going to be sent to the orphanage. He nodded and said in a childish voice, "Nurse, Dr. Hao, thank you. The new book, Devil Players, is recommended. Everyone go there and vote. It's useless no matter how much you vote for this book. Please support it. I'm dying of anxiety." Chapter 225. This child is so obedient. Yeah, after taking care of him for over a year, I really can't bear to let him go. The nurses all had tears in their eyes as they sighed emotionally. This was the first time Wang Zhong was discharged from the hospital and saw the outside world. At first glance, this world was similar to the yellow soil planet he came from. There were wide roads, streets filled with cars, and pedestrians hurrying on their way. Wang Zhong was carried by a nurse and handed over to a lady in a black suit. Director Lin, Tang Yi, this child will be handed over to you from now on. And don't worry, our Ling Tian orphanage will take good care of him. Director Lin took over Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong did not say anything. He leaned his head and rested on Director Lin's shoulder. After that, he was carried into a car and driven away. On the way, Wang Zhong looked around curiously. Although this society was more or less the same as the yellow Earth planet, The difference was that martial arts were prevalent here. Along the streets, there were many martial arts halls. There was also a group of people sparring in the plaza. On the large screen in the shopping mall, there was a broadcast of a certain master accepting disciples. Inner Chiha, Wang Zhong thought to himself as he listened to the words in the advertisement. After being in this world for a year, he had heard this word more than once. In general, everyone's training revolved around inner chi. Which was inner chi. Once one cultivated inner chi, one's strength would increase exponentially. Although it could not be compared to the strength of his previous life, it was not rare to be able to kill a cow with one punch. Unfortunately, according to what the nurses had said, there were too few people who were able to cultivate internal energy. Most of them only had ordinary martial arts. This was also why, although martial arts were prevalent, there were still many ordinary people. Ling Tian Orphanage was located in the outskirts of the city, surrounded by trees and flowers. Upon entering, Wang Zhong saw many children laughing and playing. These children were all abandoned by their parents, or their parents had died, and there was no one to take care of them, so they were sent here. According to the rules, the orphanage would look for people to adopt the children during this period, and the children would be given to some kind-hearted people to adopt. Of course, the government would subsidize these kind-hearted people. This was not an adoptive relationship, but a caretaker relationship. This was similar to the policy of the United States. Then, there would be staff from the Domestic Service Center to check on the children regularly. If they found that the children were mistreated or had other problems, the government had the right to revoke the adoption rights. Overall, the social system was quite secure. Because Wang Zhong was still young, he was temporarily taken care of by an aunt called Lin Jiaojiao. Every day, other than sleeping, she drank milk powder. Life in the orphanage was very boring, especially when Wang Zhong grew up. He realized that because of his ugly appearance, there were more and more malicious situations toward him. He was finally 3 years old. At this age, Wang Zhong could walk more stably. Director Lin arranged for Wang Zhong to play with the children. Auntie Lin, there's a ghost, there's a ghost. As soon as Wang Zhong entered the children's playground in the orphanage, some children were scared to tears. Upon seeing Wang Zhong's appearance, all of the children started to scream. Fortunately, Wang Zhong's mental endurance was strong, so he remained silent. At the same time, he also realized that there were a few children present who more or less had defects. For example, a child was born with a deformed hand, a girl had severe cleft lips, and a girl had lost all her hair. These people were so miserable. However, compared to these people's deformities, his appearance was indeed very scary. On the right side of his face, there was a wrinkled red birthmark. If you only looked at the right side of his face, he looked like a zombie in a movie. No wonder the children were scared to tears. Children, don't be afraid. His name is Tang Yi. He's very pitiful. His face is also injured, so he became like this. I think good children will be good friends with Tang Yi, right? Director Lin clapped her hands and smiled. Although Wang Zhong automatically knew that Auntie Lin was speaking for him, to the children, he was indeed too ugly, and no one liked him. From this day onwards, he officially ate with the children and slept together in the dormitory. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Today, Wang Zhong was already 4 years old. He realized that when the children were 4 or 5 years old, there would be teachers in the orphanage who would train the older children in martial arts. Everyone remember, you can't stay here forever. Only by laying a good foundation practicing martial arts can you be a useful person to society in the future. Do you understand? Director Lin taught the children. In this world, everyone's deep-rooted thought was that only by practicing martial arts could they stand out. Otherwise, they would be useless. Of course, through learning, they could become a scientist, a doctor, or something. But they were still not as respected as a martial arts expert. So if they could, everyone naturally wanted to become strong. And after becoming strong, whether it was thinking or learning, they would become faster. Learning these things would also become faster. So according to the experience of this world's scientists, the higher one's martial arts, the higher one's education, and the higher one's contribution in all walks of life. These things were directly proportional. Got it. The children all shouted. Director Lin smiled. At this time, she unexpectedly saw a thin and weak figure, practicing his fist on the side of a big tree in the playground. Isn't this Tang Yi? Director Lin had a deep impression of this child. Other than his ugly appearance, he had been very obedient ever since he came in. Yes, this child doesn't like to play. I often see him practicing on the side of the tree. Don't look at his weak body, his strength is not small. A nurse said. And not bad. On this summer day, because of the festival, the orphanage gave each child 5 pieces of candy. Wang Zhong took the candy, but he didn't like to eat it, so he didn't eat it. At this time, a very big child ran in front of Wang Zhong. Ugly, give me the candy just now, I'll protect you in the future. Wang Zhong stayed here for a long time. Everyone was used to his appearance, so some of the children were not afraid of him. Gradually, some of them even found trouble with him, wanting to bully him. This big child called Fatty was the king of the children here. At this moment, there were 3 children following behind him. These people were already 6 or 7 years old, and always bullied other children. This time, it was obvious that they were eyeing Wang Zhong. Although Wang Zhong didn't like to eat candy, it didn't mean that others could snatch it. He shook his head and said, "Not giving." "Hee hee, ugly, are you looking down on me, Fatty?" Wang Zhong frowned. These days, although he had been training his body, and even trained according to his previous martial arts, but after all his body was too small. Don't talk about strength. He didn't even cultivate any internal strength. So when facing so many people, TSK, it was really troublesome. Maybe it was because they didn't like Wang Zhong. So these people deliberately found trouble. Without waiting for Wang Zhong to speak, Fatty scolded. Damn, a 4-year-old child is so arrogant. A few children rushed over to hold Wang Zhong down and beat him up. Everyone knew that the caregivers were all busy at this time. Who would be watching over the amusement park all the time? Wang Zhong retaliated on the spot. But all martial arts originated from the body. With a weak body, it was impossible to be strong in martial arts. Therefore, Wang Zhong only fought back with 2 punches, and was pushed to the ground by Fatty, his clothes stained with mud. Beat this ugly, Fatty scolded. Dong dong dong. This time Wang Zhong was beaten up badly, and even the corner of his mouth was bleeding. A group of children not far away watched in fear, and no one came to help. Chapter 226. You better remember this in the future. The fat boy snatched the candy from Wang Zhong's body and scolded. Wang Zhong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and suddenly grabbed a handful of soil, and threw it at the fat boy's eyes. F***ck. The fat boy's eyes immediately couldn't see anything, and Wang Zhong took the opportunity to pick up the brick on the ground, and threw it over. Aya. Soon, the fat boy was scared of being smashed and kept retreating. In fact, this group of children were all children. If they really fought, they wouldn't have Wang Zhong's strength. With these few hits, the fat boy cried for his father and mother. Auntie Lin, it's them. Everyone, the fat boy wants to beat the ugly girl. A timid female voice said. Wang Zhong shot a glance in that direction, only to see a group of employees rushing over. Clearly, they had been called over by that girl. This girl had a serious cleft lip, and was abnormally thin. Her hair was dry and yellow, and her face was malnourished. Usually, she didn't like to talk much, and would play on the swing with a few girls. Wang Zhong didn't have much interaction with her. But several times, when children were bullied, this girl would immediately complain. Stop fighting. Principal Lin helped the fat boy up and frowned at Wang Zhong. Tang Yi, fat boy, what's going on with you guys? Whoa, the fat boy cried. Auntie Lin, the ugly girl hit me with a brick. Whoa, the children who followed the fat boy also cried. Wang Zhong said, they want to steal my candy. Fat boy, is it true? The fat boy cried and lowered his head, obviously admitting it. In the future, you're not allowed to steal candy and bully others, do you understand? Principal Lin reprimanded and said to Wang Zhong. And you, Tang Yi, how can you use a brick to hit people? They have more people. Wang Zhong said. But you can't hit people. What if they die? Principal Lin looked at everyone. Also, Tang Yi has a name. From now on everyone can only call him Tang Yi, and not ugly person. At this time, Wang Zhong was quite speechless. He didn't expect that he would get the nickname, ugly guy, out of the blue. Alright, let's continue playing. Fatty, come here. Dean Lin left the place, and Fatty followed helplessly. It seemed like he was going to be punished. The episode passed quickly, and the children continued to play. Some were playing eagle and chicken, some were swinging, and some were playing hide and seek. Wang Zhong walked to the side of the girl. Thank you. No matter what, it was this girl who helped him to complain. Then he took out his candy and passed it to the girl. I've been bullied by them before. It's fine. The girl shook her head. Don't you like candy? I don't like it, Wang Zhong said. Only then did the cleft lip girl take the candy and eat one. Beaming with joy, she said, It's delicious. What's your name? My name is Yang Jiejia. My father gave me this name. Is that so? Then why are you here? Wang Zhong asked curiously. This girl was relatively more mature than the other children. When I was born, my mother abandoned me. My father has been taking care of me. Later on he was caught. Yang Jiejia lowered her head dejectedly. Later on I was sent here. She was also a child with a hard life. How about you? How did you come here? Yang Jiejia asked. Then, Wang Zhong began to briefly explain his background. So you are even more miserable than me. You haven't even met your parents. At this time, the entrance of the amusement park was suddenly noisy. A child shouted, Someone is here to adopt a child again. Children who weren't loved by anyone matured early. The children here all knew that they were abandoned. Hence, whenever an adult came to adopt a child, they would fight to be the first to take a look. These children's eyes were filled with eagerness. Who didn't want to be loved? Who didn't want parents to take care of them? Who didn't want a warm home? Even if they were adopted, it would be a good home for them. Hence, whenever an adoptive family came, the children would run over, hoping that they would be chosen by the adults to adopt them. An adult is coming. Let's hurry over and take a look. If we can be adopted, that would be great. Yang Jiejia ran out in surprise. When Wang Zhong walked over, a middle-aged couple who had just come over were already surrounded by the children. The middle-aged couple looked at the children happily. Director Lin accompanied them. This child is called Hao Li. She's 5 years old. She's quite smart. Now she can do mental arithmetic within 100. She's quite hardworking when it comes to martial arts. This boy is called Sun Shi. Madam Huang, don't be fooled by his skinny figure. He's the most hardworking in our orphanage. Similarly, Director Lin spared no effort in introducing the children to a good family for adoption. This girl is called Yang Jiejia. Although she has a bit of a cleft lip, she's very obedient. She's also very hardworking when it comes to martial arts. Before Director Lin could finish, Madam Huang shook her head and said, It's just a bit of a cleft lip. It's not pretty for girls. Madam Huang, although Jiejia has a cleft lip, it can be cured through surgery. For example, the previous girl here also had a cleft lip. Later, she was adopted by a kind person. Look, after the surgery she's much better. Director Lin hurriedly took out her phone, wanting to show Madam Huang the photo. Unfortunately, Madam Huang waved her hand. We're not well off. We just want to find a normal child. After all, the surgery fee is quite high. Don't you think so, Director Lin? Director Lin could only squeeze out a smile and smile awkwardly. Yang Jiejia, who was originally looking forward to it, became excited when she heard Madam Huang's words. She couldn't wait to walk over and say, Auntie Huang, I can treat the surgery myself in the future. I'll earn my own money. When you're old, I'll take good care of you. Yang Jiejia's words shocked all the adults present. It also fully proved that Yang Jiejia was more sensible than her peers. Director Lin looked at the couple and nodded. This child seems to really like you. Honey, I think this child is not bad, the man beside her said. Madam Huang frowned and shook her head. Although you say that, if we go back like this, we'll be laughed at by our relatives and friends. There are so many normal children. Why would we adopt a disabled one? The man hesitated. Yang Jejia stared at him with her big eyes. Tears were already welling up in her eyes. Listen to me. All right then. The man couldn't bear to look at Yang Jejia, and left with Madame Huang. Then let's take a look at the children over there. Director Lin squeezed out a smile. The group of people left. After they left, Yang Jejia burst into tears. This child wants to be adopted so much. Wang Zhong watched from behind and sighed. He patted Yang Jejia's shoulder and said, "Don't be sad. Look at how petty that woman is. Even if you're adopted, your life won't be much better." "But it's better than here," Yang Jejia shouted at Wang Zhong. "What does an ugly person like you know? We have no future here. If no one adopts us, we can only go to the worst schools. Those schools won't teach you martial arts. Do you understand? When the time comes, my child can only be like me and not have a good life." Wang Zhong was speechless. He didn't expect this little girl of a few years old to know so much. "I won't give in, Tang Yi. I must leave here. I want to live a good life. I want to marry those successful people in the future." "Forget it. You're only 4 years old. What do you know about these things?" Yang Jejia was disappointed and left the place alone. Chapter 227. In the evening, the children ate in the cafeteria. Probably because she was rejected today, Yang Jejia was eating alone in a sullen mood. Because she was sad, her eyes were red. She quickly finished eating and prepared to go back to the dormitory with her head down. Wang Zhong didn't care about her at first, but at this time, he found the 3 girls whispering to the fat boy. "It's that Yang Jejia who complained and made me stand for a day." The fat boy looked at Yang Jejia's back with hatred. Although he was punished mainly because of Tang Yi, the most important thing for him was Yang Jejia's complaint. At the same time, although he was unhappy with Tang Yi's fierceness in the fight today scared him. How could he dare to find trouble with Wang Zhong? "Xiaoli, Yang Jejia is done eating. Help me teach Yang Jejia a lesson later," the fat boy said. Xiaoli and the other 2 girls were about the same age as the fat boy. They often hung out together. Hearing this, they nodded. "Leave it to me." The 3 girls walked out directly. Wang Zhong pushed his bowl and walked out. No matter what, this matter was because of him. Yang Jejia was unlucky, so he had to help. "Xiaoli, why are you blocking my way?" Yang Jejia asked. "Yang Jejia, why did you complain about the fat boy?" Xiaoli asked. "Because he bullied children." "So what if he bullied you?" Xiaoli pushed Yang Jejia. The 3 children surrounded Yang Jejia at once. Wang Zhong watched from behind and was about to help, but he didn't expect that before he went over, he saw Yang Jejia grabbing Xiaoli's hair, pressing her to the ground, and beating her fiercely. Wang Zhong actually felt a wave of murderous intent from this ruthlessness. Also because Yang Jejia was too fierce, the 2 girls who came with Xiaoli were scared silly and didn't dare to move. "Don't provoke me in the future, or I'll beat you until your mother doesn't recognize you." Yang Jejia sat on Xiaoli and scolded. Woo! Shirley burst into tears. Only then did Yang Jejia sit up and look at Wang Zhong, who was not far away. Then, without saying a word, she turned and left. Wang Zhong followed him and said, "I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I wanted to help you. I'm always training." Yang Jejia glanced at Wang Zhong and said, "I'm sorry for today. I shouldn't have called you ugly." "Well, it's okay. Anyway, I'm used to it." Wang Zhong clasped his hands behind his back and said maturely, "Do you know Tang Yi? This little friend of yours is different from others. You're different too. Other kids aren't as bold as you," Wang Zhong said. "That's because I saw a lot when I was young." Yang Jejia's eyes dimmed. "I saw with my own eyes, murder. Is that so?" Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. No wonder Yang Jejia was only a few years older than him. But she had already lost her innocence. Everything she did carried a strong sense of purpose. If this girl's luck wasn't too bad in the future, her achievements wouldn't be too low. "Tang Yi, you're really different. If other kids hear about murder, they'll probably cry." Wang Zhong nodded and casually explained, "I've been so ugly since I was a child. I've encountered all kinds of bad things, so I'm bold." "Well, what do you want to do in the future? I mean, what if no one adopts you?" "I'm not sure yet. Wang Zhong shook his head. He really wasn't sure. He was only a few years old now. Although he had the mentality of an adult, he was facing a whole new world. At this time, he couldn't go out and see the outside world, so he could only take one step at a time. Yang Jejia said, I'm already 7 years old. If no one adopts me by then, I'll decide to leave here. Jejia, you're a child. It's dangerous outside. Wang Zhong frowned. Although this era was a modern society, it didn't mean that it was safe outside. Human traffickers, organ trading, drug trafficking, there were too many. If I keep staying here, my future days won't be good. After entering the dormitory, Yang Jejia carefully took out the candy from under the bed. Tang Yi, you really don't want to eat candy? Although Yang Jejia appeared to be very mature, she liked to eat candy like other children. No need. If you want to eat, I can give you my share in the future, Wang Zhong said. You're so nice. Yang Jejia smiled shyly. When they weren't talking about leaving here, Yang Jejia was quite cute. For the next few days, Wang Zhong trained under the guidance of the martial arts teacher. Yang Jejia also trained very hard. Because the two of them got along well with each other, they often trained together and became very close. They had become good friends. However, as she grew older, Yang Jejia became more and more eager to leave. Finally, when she was 10 years old, a black SUV drove into the orphanage. 2 well-dressed ladies got out of the car. Someone came to adopt us again. A child guessed. Wow, this car must be very expensive. If we can be adopted by these 2 beautiful ladies, we must be very happy. Isn't that so? Listening to the words of the surrounding children, Yang Jejia's eyes were filled with anticipation. Tang Yi, I want to go over. I must be adopted by them. They are rich, and they are 2 beautiful ladies. I must be adopted by them. Yang Jejia whispered beside Wang Zhong. Yang Jejia was indeed daring. She walked over as she spoke. However, Wang Zhong pulled her back. Tang Yi, what are you doing? Yang Jejia frowned. Oh, you want to be adopted by them too? At this moment, Yang Jejia looked at Wang Zhong with a dangerous gaze. This gaze was like looking at a competitor. Wang Zhong suddenly understood. For Yang Jejia, her goal was to be adopted and leave here. Now it was rare to find a good family. If Wang Zhong also wanted to be adopted, regardless of whether he was ugly or not, he would be a competitor to Yang Jejia. Yang Jejia would never give a good face to a competitor. You misunderstood. It doesn't matter to me. Moreover, I am so ugly. How could they like me? Wang Zhong said. Then why are you stopping me? If you go out like this, not only will you not be liked, but they will think that you are scheming. Yang Jejia was stunned. Although she went to school, she was still a little confused about some idioms. She did not understand what Wang Zhong meant. What scheming? It means that people will think that you are sinister and cunning. Therefore, the first impression is very important. Then hurry up and tell me what I should do. Yang Jejia reacted and felt that it was not good for her to go out like this. Compared to so many people going over, you might as well practice martial arts alone in the forest. Wang Zhong said, this way, it will give people the impression that you are diligent in martial arts. What do you think? Yang Jejia's eyes lit up. Tang Yi, although you are ugly, you are really smart. But that's not right. What if they can't see my hard work? Wang Zhong smiled faintly. Don't you have me? That's great. Yang Jejia nodded and said seriously. Good brother. Just because of your words, I, Yang Jejia, will definitely come to find you when I am successful in the future. In the future, you will be my good brother. Is that so? Of course. Yang Jejia looked excited. I beg you, Tang Yi, help me. Okay, you can go now. But at this time, Yang Jejia's expression changed. That bastard Shaili actually went over. Chapter 228. At this moment, Xiaoli dressed herself up beautifully. She actually walked out from the middle of the children and arrived in front of the 2 women. Hello, sister, Director Lin is inside. Let me take you there. Xiaoli smiled. This Xiaoli was actually a scheming woman. She was one step ahead of others to win favor. The 2 women were wearing sunglasses. The taller one touched Xia Li's head. This child is really obedient. Isn't that so? The woman beside her said. What's your name? My name is Xia Li. My parents died in a car accident while working outside. I'm the only one left. Xia Li's eyes were red. First she won favor, then sympathy. This Xia Li was not simple. Yang Jiejia's eyes were about to burst. Tang Yi, if this goes on, what if they adopt Xia Li? No, I can't let her succeed. Wang Zhong frowned. Don't be agitated. She's already one step ahead of you. If you go now, you won't get any benefits. Then what should I do? Follow the original plan. I'll help you. Yang Jieji nodded, and then walked to a pile of dummies. This was the martial arts training ground of the orphanage. It was usually used by the older children to practice martial arts. Ha 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 ha. Yang Jieji began to practice. However, from time to time, she would look at Wang Zhong. It could be seen that she was extremely nervous. Tang Yi, could he really do it? Yang Jieji was doubtful. At this time, Xia Li was still chatting with the two women. Xia Li's face was filled with youthful and excited smiles. It was obvious that the two women liked her. In addition, she wore a red dress today, and dressed up her long hair. She looked very clean. These two women definitely liked her, and would definitely adopt her when the time came. I must seize the opportunity and leave here. Xia Li's heart trembled. She couldn't help but look at the crowd. Finally she could leave this damn place. At this time, Director Lin finally came out. Director Sun, why didn't you say you were coming? Director Lin said. The tall woman took off her sunglasses, revealing her beautiful face. It could be seen that she was almost 40 years old. However, she maintained herself well. Whether it was her temperament or posture, Wang Zhong could be sure that this woman's status was not low. In addition, Director Lin was so polite to her, and even called her Director Sunday. This woman had a prominent status. She might be an entrepreneur or something. To be adopted by such a person was a blessing from her previous life. I was afraid that you would be busy, so I came in first and checked on the children. Director Sun smiled and stroked Xia Li's head. Also, don't call me Director Sun in front of outsiders. Just call me Sun Li Juan. This child is quite cute. If my daughter is fine, she should be about the same age now. Sun Li Juan sighed as she spoke. This girl is called Xia Li. She's quite sensible. Director Lin began to introduce her. Yeah, I like it too. Sun Li Juan nodded. Then I'll bring you in to take a look, said Principal Lin. All right, let's stroll around. Sun Li Juan walked out. The few of them walked in the courtyard with a group of children following behind them. They were all curiously sizing up Sun Li Juan. Children actually like beautiful big sisters, so everyone hoped that they could be adopted. At this time, everyone walked into the courtyard. The children are basically all here. Madam Sun, do you wish to adopt a daughter? Director Lin asked. Sun Li Juan nodded. Yes. How was Xia Li just now? Director Lin glanced at the excited Xia Li not far behind her. This girl is quite good, but she doesn't look like my daughter, said Sun Li Juan. I see. Yes, my daughter was very smart when she was young. She didn't need me to urge her to practice martial arts. She was really diligent. Unfortunately. Li Juan, don't be sad. Another woman comforted Sun Li Juan. The dead can't be brought back to life. Yes. Sun Li Juan nodded. Seeing this scene, Wang Zhong thought to himself that it was indeed true. Although Xia Li was very obedient, the people in this world advocated martial arts. If Yang Jieji trained in front of these people, it was easy to give the impression that Yang Jieji was diligent. Therefore, this plan was very feasible. Of course, he still needed some cooperation. Therefore, Wang Zhong walked over and said, Director Lin, I don't know what's wrong with Yang Jieji today. She looks very sad. What's wrong with her? Director Lin was curious. When Sun Li Juan saw Wang Zhong's face, she was slightly stunned. Director Lin said embarrassedly, Madam Sun, I'm sorry. I'll go take a look at Jieji first. I don't know what's wrong with this child. It's okay. Sun Li Juan followed Director Lin into the amusement park. At this moment, Yang Jieji naturally sensed that the adults were coming towards her. For a moment, she was overwhelmed with emotions. This is my best opportunity. I must seize it. I must be adopted by them. Yang Jejia thought and punched the wood. Hiss, a pain spread throughout her body. However, she could only endure it. Otherwise, if she didn't leave a good impression on them, what would she do if they didn't adopt her? Thinking of this, she almost used all her strength. He swung his fists and kicked his legs. His swift and fierce attacks landed on the wood. Jejia looks fine, Director Lin said. I just saw that she had been training and seemed angry. I was a little worried about her. Wang Zhong replied in a childish voice. Director Lin nodded in surprise and seemed to understand something. She turned to Sun Lijuan and smiled. Madam Sun, this is Yang Jejia. Just that this child is a little pitiful. She already has a cleft lip at such a young age. Yang Jejia didn't seem to hear anything and was still hitting the wood. Is that so? Sun Lijuan was curious. When the other children saw her, they all squeezed over. Why was she different? Child, what's your name? Yang Jejia then stopped. My name is Yang Jejia. Why do you train so hard? Sun Lijuan asked. Because I want to be outstanding. Although I don't have parents, I want to rely on myself. Yang Jejia said. Sun Lijuan nodded slightly. At this moment, she felt that Yang Jejia was very similar to her daughter. They both wanted to be strong, and said they wanted to rely on themselves. Although the two of them didn't look alike, their personalities were too similar. Jejia, do you want to follow me? Sun Lijuan finally asked. Yang Jejia became excited. However, behind Sun Lijuan, Wang Zhong mouthed don't be excited to her. Why did Tang Yi ask me not to be excited? Yang Jejia felt strange. No, Tang Yi is very smart. He wouldn't ask me not to be excited for no reason. In a moment, Yang Jejia thought of many things. She immediately reacted. Tang Yi said before that she couldn't show too much enthusiasm, and had to be honest. Thinking about this, she suppressed her excitement, and took a deep breath. I'm willing, but what? Sun Lijuan was curious. She felt that this girl was rather interesting. In her eyes there was a tenacity. It was very similar to her daughter. But I want to go to school. I want to practice martial arts. I want to be outstanding, Yang Jejia said. Very good. I will let you go to the best school. Also, I will help you cure your cleft lip. Is that okay? Sun Lijuan said. Thank you, Auntie. You're still calling me Auntie. In the future, she will be your mother. Principal Lin laughed. Yang Jejia's eyes reddened and hugged Sun Lijuan. My mother threw me away when I was young. In the future, you will be my biological mother. Good child. Sun Lijuan sighed. Xiaoli, who was in the group, was shocked. How could this be? It was such a good thing. Why did it turn out like this? Why? Chapter 229. Director Lin was very quick with the procedures. Not long after, she was done with the discharge procedures for Yang Jejia. Jejia, go and pack your things. When you're done, come back and leave with your mother. Director Lin smiled and rubbed Yang Jejia's head. Yang Jejia was considered an experienced orphan here. Because of her cleft lip, she had never been adopted. This time, she had finally found a good family for her. As the director, she was very pleased. Yang Jejia nodded obediently. Mother, I'll leave for a while. Okay, do you need my help? Sun Lijuan asked. No need, I can do it myself. Yang Jejia didn't want others to think that she couldn't do anything. Then she walked out. Along the way, the surrounding children looked at her with envy. That's her. She was adopted by that female boss. No one is as lucky as me. If only I could be adopted, that would be great. Looking at the envious looks around, Yang Jejia couldn't help but puff out her chest. I have a mother now. I can finally leave this place. I will definitely be successful in the future. I will find an outstanding man to marry. From then on, I, Yang Jejia, will definitely be a noble woman like my mother. But when she walked to the playground, she saw Tang Yi. Congratulations. Wang Zhong smiled. You've already fulfilled your wish. But I can't slack off. I will continue to work hard. Yang Jejia stood at the door and said, Let's go. I'll help you pack. Wang Zhong put his hands in his pockets and walked out casually. This kid was so arrogant. Yang Jejia cursed in her heart. She had already been adopted and Tang Yi wasn't envious. But Yang Jejia was really grateful. If not for Tang Yi, she wouldn't have been adopted so easily. When they reached the room, Yang Jejia started to pack. Tang Yi, these cups. Do you want a teacup? Although they're old, I wash them every day. And this is my blanket. It has fur. I often sun it. It smells good. Yang Jejia took her belongings and handed them over. I'm leaving anyway. I don't need these. You can have them. Thank you. Wang Zhong did not refuse. Yang Jejia took out a bunch of dolls and put them in a box. These are for you too. Wang Zhong smiled and said, I'm a boy. I don't like dolls. That's true. Yang Jejia quickly packed up her things, most of which were clothes. Then I'll be leaving. Alright, let's go. Tang Yi, don't worry. Once I've gained a firm foothold, I'll come looking for you. If you leave, just leave your contact information here. I'll definitely look for you. Yes. Wang Zhong didn't think too much about it. In his opinion, Yang Jejia had a tough personality, so helping her like this was not a big deal. At this moment, someone suddenly appeared at the door. It was actually Fatty. What was he doing here? Fatty, please step aside. Yang Jejia took her luggage and prepared to leave. I'll beat you up today. For some unknown reason, the fat boy kicked Yang Jejia without saying a word. Fatty was now 12 years old. He was already a little adult. If no one adopted him in 2 years, he would be sent to a foster family. Today, for some reason, he hit Yang Jejia the moment he came. One had to know that they hadn't interacted for a long time. It's because of you that Xiaoli couldn't be adopted. You made her cry. If I scratch your face, they won't like you. They'll definitely like Xiaoli. So this was what the fat boy was planning. He took a small beer cap and was about to scratch Yang Jejia's face. Yang Jejia panicked and kept retreating. Fatty, get lost. Wang Zhong shouted. Tang Yi, this has nothing to do with you. Get lost. The fat boy rushed forward. Wang Zhong wanted to hold him back, but the fat boy was now very strong. He knocked Wang Zhong away. Then he grabbed Yang Jejia's collar. Because he was too strong, Yang Jejia was knocked to the table behind her. The mirror on the table fell and shattered into pieces. The fat boy scratched Yang Jejia's face with the beer cap. A bloody mark appeared on her face. If this continued, she would be disfigured. This was something she would never allow. What if Sun Lijuan despised her for being ugly? What if the scar couldn't recover? It was rare for someone to be willing to adopt her. And with such good conditions, this was something she wouldn't allow. Go away. In a hurry, Yang Jejia grabbed a piece of broken mirror on the table and scratched the fat boy's neck. F***ck. The fat boy covered his neck and quickly retreated. There was no blood, which meant that the artery wasn't damaged. This made Wang Zhong heave a sigh of relief. But the fat boy didn't know. He was young and thought he was going to die. Who scratched me? Who? The fat boy covered his neck and shouted. It turned out that it was too urgent just now. He didn't know who scratched him. Then he turned and ran out. Yang Jejia was still in shock. I killed someone. Jejia, don't worry. Tang Yi. Suddenly, Yang Jejia grabbed Wang Zhong's hand and placed the mirror in Wang Zhong's hand. Help me for the last time. I can't kill anyone otherwise my mother won't want me. Wang Zhong furrowed his brows. Yang Jejia wanted him to admit that he was the one who hurt the fat boy. Help me for the last time, Tang Yi. Actually, even if Yang Jejia didn't say it, Wang Zhong would still help her. After all, it didn't matter to him. Firstly, the fat boy attacked first. Secondly, the wound on the fat boy's neck wasn't deep. But when these words came from Yang Jejia's mouth, it had a different meaning. This feeling made Wang Zhong feel that she was very scheming. She was so scheming at such a young age. In the future, she would be very scheming. But since things had come to this, nothing could be changed. Wang Zhong took the glass. Live a good life in the future. Keep away your scheming, okay? Yang Jejia was stunned then nodded. Tang Yi, in my heart, although you are ugly, you are my best friend. In my heart, you are very handsome. I will definitely find you. At this time, this girl is still scheming with me? Wang Zhong was helpless and ignored her. He turned and walked out. Let's go. The directors are here. At this moment, in Yang Jiejia's heart, Wang Zhong didn't look like a child at all. What happened? Director Lin ran over, followed by Sun Li Juan and the rest. The fat boy wanted to bully Jejia. I couldn't stand it, so I took the glass shard and scratched him. Wang Zhong said. So it was you who wanted to kill me? Sob sob sob. The fat boy cried and covered his neck. Director, I almost died. Director, it was the fat boy who wanted to scratch my face. He said he wanted to disfigure me. Yang Jejia said. Come to your mother. Sun Li Juan walked over. Yang Jejia rushed over, like a well-behaved little lamb. However, Wang Zhong knew that this woman had incomparably great ambitions. In a sense, in order to succeed, she would do anything. Chapter 230. In the end, Yang Jejia left. When she left, Yang Jejia entered the black luxury car. She opened the window and waved at Wang Zhong. At this moment, Yang Jejia really smiled. Wang Zhong knew that she was smiling, because he had finally found the life he wanted to live. This time, the dean did not pursue the matter of hurting Fatty. Firstly, Tang Yi was still too young. Secondly, it was indeed Fatty's fault. Thirdly, Fatty only suffered some superficial injuries. After a few days, his injury will be fine. But after Yang Jejia left, Wang Zhong found that he did not have any good friends to talk to. On the contrary, the people who were close to Fatty were always mocking and ridiculing him. Ugly freak, go to hell. So ugly. If I were you, I would just hide and die. Although children are young, but because they are young, they do not care about other people's feelings. Once they learn vicious words, they will attack the people they hate. Without a doubt, Wang Zhong is ugly now. Plus, he usually does not play with them. So many people scolded him. Fortunately, Wang Zhong is actually an adult. His psychological quality is not ordinary strong, so he is immune to these children's words. It seems that I have to think of a way to leave here. Looking at another couple who came to adopt a child, Wang Zhong sighed softly. Just like what Yang Jejia said, staying here, the future will be difficult. If he wants to learn good martial arts, if he wants to enter a good school, he can only be adopted. However, it was a pity that Wang Zhong had underestimated the ugliness of his appearance. These years, there are many couples who came to adopt a child. Some are rich, some are average, some do not want to get married, and just want to raise a child. There are all kinds of people, but after seeing his face, these people all shook their heads. Too ugly. These are the words that these people said in unison. This game is too difficult. Wang Zhong looked at the group of children playing, and could not help but mutter. Is there really no one to adopt me? When I grow up, will I be sent to a foster family? Now Wang Zhong is already 9 years old. The days pass really quickly. Although he has been in the orphanage, there are primary school classes here. In addition to reading and writing, there are also some martial arts classes. But the martial arts here is too low level compared to the good schools outside. So Wang Zhong is practicing the martial arts that he learned before. Tiger form fist. Wang Zhong practiced against a tree. Director Lin and the staff here are not martial arts masters, so they can't see Wang Zhong's martial arts. They only thought that Wang Zhong is just blind. Although he was only 9 years old, Wang Zhong's body was pretty good due to the fact that he had been practicing martial arts and eating well since he was young. Although he is young, some older children did not dare to bully him. As for the children, they found a foster family's foster family. Although the family's family is a family, they are a well-off family. As for Fatty, he was sent to a foster home in the city and lost contact with him in just half a year. On this day, Wang Zhong woke up early in the morning and saw a black car drive in. A bald middle-aged man got out of the car. He wore small sunglasses and light martial arts clothes. Beside him was a woman in plain clothes. She had a string of Buddhist beads in her hand. She looked at the children and muttered a few words from time to time. Auntie Lin, who is this person? Seeing the person who had come, the group of children began to chatter and ask. Director Lin whispered, "This is Master Ren Zhong. He runs a martial arts school in the city. If you perform well later, and he takes you away, you can learn martial arts from him in the future. The importance of martial arts in this world is not inferior to the importance of education in modern society. It is even more important. Therefore, when the children heard this, their eyes lit up. If they want to be outstanding, they have to learn martial arts. Master Ren, you are here. Director Lin walked over. Ren Zhong stood with his hands behind his back and looked like an expert. He nodded slightly and said, "Yes, my wife believes in Buddhism and is kind. Didn't your friend, Sister Lan, tell my wife that you have a lot of poor orphans here? So she insisted that I come over to adopt a child." "Ah Zhong, what are you talking about? We adopted a child to do a good deed. How did it become a mission in your mouth?" The woman reprimanded. Okay, I can't win against you." Ren Zhong shook his head helplessly. "Master Ren, Sister Chen Qin, I will bring you to see the children." Director Lin walked in front. Ren Zhong nodded and whispered to Chen Qin, "Let's make it clear. Adoption is adoption, but we have to adopt a child with a good body. They can't be weak, and can't even learn martial arts." "Got it. I will let you choose later." The two of them whispered and soon arrived at the amusement park. "Children, stand properly," Director Lin shouted. The group of children quickly gathered around. "The children are all here. Take a look." Ren Zhong nodded and looked over. As expected of the children of the poor, they were all in good health. Bang, bang, bang. At this time, the sound of sandbags being hit not far away attracted his attention. Not far away, Wang Zhong was hitting the sandbags with all his might. His intention was simple. This Ren Zhong was a martial artist, so the child he chose to adopt should meet two requirements. First, a good body. Second, hardworking in martial arts. This was why Wang Zhong had decided to hit the sandbag here. Director Lin also noticed Tang Yi and said, "This child is called Tang Yi. He has a good body, and is very hardworking in martial arts. It's just that." "Just what?" Ren Zhong looked at Wang Zhong curiously. He had sharp eyes and could tell at a glance that Wang Zhong had a good body, and was a martial arts seedling. "It's just that there is a birthmark on his face. It looks a little strange." Director Lin did not say the word ugly, but Ren Zhong and his wife understood. "Call him over. Let me take a look." Ren Zhong said. "Okay." Director Lin nodded and said to Wang Zhong, "Tang Yi, come here." "Okay." Wang Zhong walked over. After seeing Wang Zhong's face, Ren Zhong frowned. As for Chen Qin, she frowned even more and said, "This birthmark is too big. What do you think?" Ren Zhong asked. "What do you think of his body?" Chen Qin said. Ren Zhong walked in front of Wang Zhong and patted Wang Zhong's shoulder. His body is not bad. His muscles are so strong at such a young age. Little friend, what's your name?" Chen Qin squatted down and asked. "Tang Yi," Wang Zhong replied in a childish voice. "Are you willing to go home with us?" Although Chen Qin also felt that Wang Zhong was ugly, she was a Buddhist and had a kind heart. She concealed her expression very well. "Little Qin, this child's face." Ren Zhong was a little hesitant. Although he felt that Wang Zhong's body was not bad, and he was a martial arts seedling, his face was indeed too ugly. Chen Qin said softly, "Although he has a birthmark on his face, we should be prepared to adopt children who have difficulties in life. Otherwise, wouldn't it lose the meaning of adoption? I think this child is not bad. What do you think?" "I don't think so," Ren Zhong whispered to Chen Qin. "There are so many children here. There are many who are good-looking and have good bodies. Why choose him? Look at his eyes. One look, and you can tell that he's a sensible child. You can tell that too." Ren Zhong was a little depressed. The other children are looking around. Only he keeps staring at you. Is that so?" Ren Zhong was suspicious. Chen Qin walked over and held Wang Zhong's hand. "Come to my house. I'll introduce you to an elder sister, okay? Vote for the new book Devil Player, ha!" Chapter 231. It was the same as Wang Zhong's guess. From the prayer beads on Chen Qin's hand, and the smell of sandalwood after burning incense, Wang Zhong could confirm that Chen Qin was a Buddhist. Hence, she must have a good heart. Adopting him this time should be out of goodwill. and not because of fertility issues. Hence, when he heard that Chen Qin had a young lady in her family, Wang Zhong wasn't surprised. Since Chen Qin had already decided, Ren Zhong couldn't say anything. Hence, he went to handle the procedures with Director Lin. Wow, the ugly guy was adopted too. That's too good of a luck. This family must be blind to want such an ugly person. Naturally, Chen Qin heard the conversation of the children around her. Tang Yi, these people said that about you. Are you angry? Chen Qin asked. Wang Zhong shook his head. There's nothing to be angry about. Chen Qin was stunned. Why aren't you angry? She felt that this child's way of thinking was different from others. Because I'm ugly, they think I'm weak. That's why they said that about me. When they grow up, they'll know that the strong aren't just shown by their looks. Chen Qin was stunned. It was hard to imagine that this sentence came from a 9-year-old child. You're really different. Let's go. Although what you said just now was right, I still have to tell you that no matter if you're weak or strong, others can't say that about you. Of course, you can't bully others either. Do you understand? Wang Zhong knew that Chen Qin was starting to educate him. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But who asked him to look like a child? Hence, he nodded and said that he understood. Very quickly, Ren Zhong completed the procedures. Let's go. Ren Zhong opened the back door and Wang Zhong sat in. The car's design wasn't bad, and the brand was also a luxury car brand. It could be seen that this family's conditions weren't bad. Tang Yi, they will be your godfather and godmother in the future. You have to be obedient in the future. Do you understand? Outside the car window, Director Lin touched Wang Zhong's head and said, Tang Yi's background was more tragic, and his looks let down the audience. Now that he was finally given away, Director Lin was happy for Tang Yi from the bottom of his heart. Got it, Director Lin. I'll come and visit you in the future, Wang Zhong said solemnly. Director Lin smiled. The most important thing is for you to be happy in the future. Ren Zhong then exchanged a few pleasantries with Chen Qin and her husband before the car slowly drove out. Tang Yi, I'll call you Little Yi from now on. How old are you? Chen Qin sat in the back and asked. 9 years old. Yes, I have a little sister who is about your age. She's 1 year older than you. Her name is Renxia. I'll introduce you to her later, okay? Chen Qin said. Wang Zhong felt a little helpless. Chen Qin's attitude was like coaxing a child. Wang Zhong said seriously. Okay, but if I go over, will you accept me as your younger brother? He knew that in many families, only children did not want to see their parents give birth to a younger brother or sister, because they were afraid of taking away their parents' love. As for someone like him, not only was he not her biological son, but he was also so ugly. TSK, it was hard to imagine. Don't worry. It's time to take care of her temper, Chen Qin said. The two of them chatted with Wang Zhong along the way. From them, Wang Zhong learned some things about their family. Their family was a typical family of 3. They only had a 10-year-old daughter, Ren Xia. Other than opening a martial arts school, Ren Zhong also dabbled in real estate, second-hand car trading, and other jobs. He was a typical successful person who practiced martial arts and did business. The car gradually arrived at the bustling city center. After a few turns, they finally arrived at the entrance of a villa. We're home. You'll live here from now on, Chen Qin said with a smile. Little Yi, you'll be our son from now on. Don't be shy, okay? Ren Zhong said. Wang Zhong nodded. Since he was here, he might as well take things as they came. Mom, your house is so big, Wang Zhong said. Chen Qin chuckled. It's okay. Let's go in. What do you like to eat? I'll cook it for you later. I'm not picky, Wang Zhong said. Then let's have a combination of meat and vegetables. Follow our martial arts school's menu, Ren Zhong said. They held Wang Zhong's hand and entered the house. As soon as they opened the door, they heard a crisp female voice coming from the second floor. Mom, Dad, you're back. Then a little girl wearing a pink dress and a cute hair clip ran down the stairs from the second floor. This little girl should be Ren Xia. Sure enough, she was as beautiful as Chen Qin. Wang Zhong was behind Ren Zhong at the moment, so Ren Xia didn't notice him for a while. Mom, Dad, where did you go? Why did you come back so late? Ren Xia asked. Ren Zhong touched Ren Xia's head and said, "Your mom and I went to do a good deed. We adopted a little brother from the orphanage. Xia, you have to take good care of the little brother." What? Ren Xia was stunned. Only then did she notice Wang Zhong standing behind Ren Zhong. Ah, so disgusting. After seeing the horrible birthmark on Wang Zhong's face, Ren Xia immediately showed a disgusted expression. How can it be so ugly? Mom, Dad, you can adopt a little brother. But why did you adopt an ugly monster? What nonsense are you talking about? Ren Zhong pushed Ren Xia into the house. Chen Qin also reprimanded. Xia, you have to be polite. What did I teach you before? I know, but... Ren Xia pointed at Wang Zhong. He's too ugly. If I see him in the middle of the night, I'll think there's a ghost. If my friends see him, they'll be scared. It's so embarrassing. Wang Zhong was a little helpless. She was indeed a spoiled little princess in the city. Her temper was so bad. At this moment he couldn't say anything. He could only be thick-skinned and wait. Xia, listen to me. He's your brother in the future. Apologize to me. Chen Qin reprimanded. I apologize. Ha ha ha, Mom, this ugly monster is too ugly. I don't want him to be my brother. I feel disgusted when I see him. Drive him away. As she spoke, Ren Xia actually wanted to push Wang Zhong out. Slap. Suddenly, Ren Zhong slapped him. Are you not going to listen to your parents anymore? This slap made Ren Xia's face burn with pain. Suddenly Ren Xia was stunned. She covered her face in disbelief and said, Sob, sob, sob. Dad, you love me the most. Now you're hitting me because of an ugly monster. Xia, this is your brother. You can't call him an ugly monster. Chen Qin's tone was helpless. She didn't expect Ren Xia to be so disobedient. No, no, no. I want to call him an ugly monster, ugly monster, ugly monster. It's so disgusting. Ren Xia cried and turned to leave. She seemed to be running to her room on the second floor. Wang Zhong touched his nose. This first day here didn't seem to go well. Why is this child like this? Ren Zhong muttered. That slap was too heavy, Chen Qin said with heartache. Look at what she's saying. She's getting more and more outrageous. A girl actually swears. I don't know who she learned it from. Chapter 232. It's all because you spoiled her in the past, Chen Qin said helplessly. It's okay. Let her cry. People have to experience setbacks. Ren Zhong patted Wang Zhong's shoulder. Xiao Yi, don't worry. Your sister is still young and insensible, so her temper is a little bad. She will be better after a long time. Wang Zhong naturally wouldn't argue with a girl. He nodded and said that he understood. Then the couple reminded him of some things. They said that they contacted the same school as Ren Xia. The school was a good school in the city. It was impossible to get in without any connections. Wang Zhong couldn't help but feel a little emotional. It seemed that he had entered a rich family. The next day, Wang Zhong and Ren Xia took the same car to the elementary school. As before, Ren Xia didn't pay attention to Wang Zhong. After getting off the car, the two entered the school. Ugly, you better leave my house early. Otherwise, I won't let you go, Ren Xia said gloomily as soon as they entered the school. Wang Zhong knew that Ren Xia was still young, so he said that. He naturally ignored her and walked to the classroom with his head down. As for Ren Zhong and Chen Qin, they followed behind. I'm talking to you. Are you mute? Ren Xia threatened. You think it's okay if you don't speak? Let me tell you, as long as you are here, I will always have a way to deal with you. Is that so? Wang Zhong said lightly. Do you see the group of people on the playground? On the playground there was a group of sloppy children. At first glance they were a group of punks. What's wrong? Wang Zhong glanced over there and said, I'm looking for someone to beat you up, so you better leave my house quickly, Ren Xia said willfully. Your parents adopted me, Wang Zhong said. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Just you wait. As the two talked, Ren Xia went to class. Wang Zhong was brought to the class teacher by Ren Zhong and his wife. The class teacher was a middle-aged woman, but she looked very strong. At first glance, one could tell that she was a martial arts master. This was also the standard of most good schools. Students nowadays valued martial arts. It was rumored that if one practiced martial arts to the extreme, one would become a great master. As long as one was a grandmaster, they would be able to leap onto roofs and vault over walls. Their strength would be doubled, and they would be able to shatter a rock with a single punch. Wang Zhong had heard about this from the mouths of some of the children. He didn't know if it was true or not, but with his previous life's experience, he felt that it should be true. Although this world was different from his previous life, since there was a martial arts legacy in this world, it shouldn't be too weak. The homeroom teacher's name was Zhou Xiaolan. Although she was a martial arts master, she was very polite. She didn't dislike Wang Zhong because he was ugly. Instead, after entering the classroom, she encouraged the students to treat Wang Zhong well and become good friends with him. Just like that, Wang Zhong started going to school here. This school was quite novel. Other than teaching elementary school textbook knowledge, they spent their afternoons practicing martial arts. In the past few days, the students had gradually accepted Wang Zhong. It was just that many people despised him for being ugly and said behind his back that he was an ugly freak. These words made Ren Xia very happy to hear. But one afternoon, Ren Xia secretly came to Wang Zhong's seat. "Tang Yi, what's the matter?" Wang Zhong said expressionlessly. Ren Xia also got used to Wang Zhong's expression during this period. This guy didn't look like a child at all. He was even more profound than her father. She really didn't know how this kid grew up. He must be a pervert. Sometimes Ren Xia said behind his back, "I'm telling you, if someone asks you where you came from in the future, you must not say that I'm your sister. And also don't mention my parents. Otherwise we won't be finished." Ren Xia threatened. Wang Zhong instantly understood. Children were all afraid of losing face. He was so ugly, but in just over a month, he had already become a famous person in the school. Of course, this fame was only because Wang Zhong was named the school's ugliest child. Many people, even if they hadn't seen Tang Yi, knew that he was an ugly freak, the world's ugliest. Therefore, Ren Xia was worried that her relationship with Wang Zhong would be known, so she reminded him, "Don't worry, I won't say it." "Well, that's good." Ren Xia clenched her teeth. She didn't know why, but looking at Wang Zhong's calm appearance, she suddenly felt that this child was somewhat pitiful. After all, he was his parents' adopted son. Although he was ugly, he was very obedient. When he came home, he would do his homework and wake up early in the morning to practice martial arts. If he wasn't so ugly, she would like this brother. But being ugly is the original sin. Sometimes, if a person is good-looking, even if he killed someone, there would be people pleading for him. But some people are ugly. Even if they are good people, there would still be people who don't like them. This is the reality. Look, this is that ugly freak, so ugly. He's so ugly, his parents must be ugly too. Outside the window, a few students from other classes came over and started pointing at them. Ren Xia was angry when she heard this. She was angry, but not because Wang Zhong was being talked about, but because these people were talking about her parents. Tang Yi's parents, weren't they her parents now? "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" Ren Xia had always been hot-tempered. She pointed over there and scolded. A tall person outside was a fifth-year university student. When he heard this, his face was a little embarrassed. "What we're talking about has nothing to do with you. Isn't that so? You're so protective of this person. Are you guys having an affair?" "Ha ha. Ha ha ha." A group of people outside laughed. "I have an affair with your mother. I also have an affair with your father." Ren Xia never showed any weakness in scolding people. Children were like this. They would scold whoever they caught. "Chow and I ma. My chow and I dad." Ren Xia scolded without any care for her image. She had always been the little tyrant in class. Even if she was a girl, many boys would give her face. This time, the people outside were deflated. "If you have the ability, go out and fight with us," the tall person shouted. Because martial arts were prevalent in this world, the school was the same. The teachers didn't prohibit students from competing with each other. Of course, it was limited to 2 people. If it was a group fight or something, it was strictly prohibited. Ren Xia knew that she wasn't a match for him. She wasn't stupid. She immediately expressed her stance. You're a big man and older than me. You want to compete with me and bully me? You're really generous. You, my chow and I dad. I think you're a coward. The scolding here quickly attracted the surrounding students. One by one, they surrounded them to watch a good show. The faces of the senior boys outside were even more embarrassed. Being scolded by a junior student, and a girl at that. Even if his grandfather could tolerate it, his aunt couldn't. So the people outside spread the word that Ren Xiao was a coward and didn't dare to compete. I'm just scared. Little beauty, don't worry. We won't bully you. I'll give you a handicap of 1 hand. You don't even dare to do that. Ha 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 ha. The tall person mocked loudly. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.